But I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object, and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
It was a rocket or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
So you said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help me!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1 0 1 1 0 1 1
Doesn't have your best interest in mind. The government is self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
Yo ho, yo ho. Welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. What's up, guys? This is the show. Actually, let me back up. I'm your host, Michael Strange. And hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. What's up, guys? This is the show where we get together and talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. You know what they are. Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. And yes, this is a strange version of Troubled Minds. This is a hybrid version, as a matter of fact, if you guys are into hybrids and all the rest of that. We are live on Rockfin, by the way. It just took a second to get everything rolling. I challenge you to do all this on one laptop. It takes a little longer than usual. But okay, so yeah, this is sort of a hybrid show. And we'll be doing this because, as many of you know, I did a test show last night, and just to make sure we were going to be able to do this week, because I wasn't sure. I thought maybe we'd have to cancel the week, just play reruns on Fringe, and that's just the way it was. But so I don't have all my equipment, as you know. I'm on the road, and so I'm kind of doing this, well, let's call it ghetto style. Doing this ghetto style, meaning that I just don't have all the things I need to make it happen, and so that's what's going on. That's what this deal is, and that's why you have the weird stream, and you don't have myself on camera and all that stuff, because I just don't have all that equipment with me. But also, it leaves a sort of a just a problem where I can't actually do this and Fringe at the same time because I don't have the equipment I need. So I am playing a rerun on Fringe currently, and this stream is separate, so you will not hear this on Fringe tonight. So this is kind of a on the down low sort of sort of stream, as trying to juggle all the things and make all the things happen. So That's what's going on here, and that's why this is a little bit different, a little bit strange. So there's some good news, there's some bad news with that. One, the full might of Troubled Minds won't be on display because we don't have all the equipment necessary. But the good news is we don't have radio commercials. So for this stream and for the foreseeable week, as long as this continues to be okay, and we're able to do this, what we'll do is do it kind of old school, kind of do it the way that we used to do Troubled Minds, meaning before Fringe, and so we were kind of not really beholden to a radio schedule or anything like that. So I'll try and keep it close to that, just for the podcast listeners that have ads after the fact, so that we kind of have some semblance of actual structure. But for the most part, the good part is we don't really have to be stuck at, oh, I'm sorry, I have to cut you off if you call in. And anyway, so there you go. There's some good stuff going on with this, and there's some, like anything else, there's always positives and negatives, right? So that's what's on deck. That's what's happening. That's what's on my mind tonight. And we'll get to the topic at hand. I just want to make sure everybody understands why things are a little bit strange and different tonight, and that's just what's going on. So I will be rotating through these nice screens on the actual stream itself, and there we go. But the good news is we are still taking your phone calls. I think we fixed Discord last night. Thank you to all the fine folks who helped us fix Discord and get that actually running. Wait, is that actually correct? Is that running? Yeah, we're going to say Discord is fixed. We do know the phone line is fixed, so we are taking your calls. If you want to be part of the show tonight at any point, give us a call at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And like I'm saying, the quality isn't the best, the audio quality isn't the best, but this is going to be a fire show anyway. We're going to do this. There's going to be some really, really sweet stuff tonight because, well, guess what? Per usual, we're ahead of the game because this is going to be one you don't hear anywhere with the big boys, right? The guys, the competitors, as it were. They aren't going to touch this because, well, well, let's just leave it at that because we're ahead of that game. So here we go. Let's see, where are we at? All right, time-wise, we're okay. Okay, just want to make sure we're all good. So we are taking your phone calls tonight if you want to be part of the show. Just bear with me because I literally have like 10 things open, or probably 100 things open, it seems like, on one little screen. And I'm trying to do it that way. So I'm watching the phone lines and everything else like I usually do, trying to watch the chat as much as possible. And that's what we're going to do. So we will read your chat as we go, and hopefully work that into the narrative as we tell the tale. Okay, so there you go. There's just the catch up on what's happening. We did do a test stream last night. If you guys haven't caught it, it is on Rockfin and on YouTube, and you guys can go catch that. It's also on the podcast feed if you want to help us go listen to it there. And we get a few pennies if you listen to the podcast. So there we go. Okay. So what we were doing last night after the show is after the test show, which confirmed we can actually do this tonight, which is kind of cool, is we were discussing with Night Stalker and with Rivers and with Jay was there in New York, and we had Austin there. There were a lot of good people in the chat last night, and we were just kind of discussing what kind of show we should be doing this week, like what kind of stuff we should be talking about. And this was one that I just found a couple days back, and I thought, oh, this is going to be good. This is going to be good. So as you know, all these links are already on YouTube, and you can find them there. But I'm going to drop the links in the chat right here, so you guys can also find them. Look at that. Look at that. It's almost like I'm not on the road, right? Okay, so there you go. There's where we're starting tonight, and this is from GreekReporter.com. And this is what got me thinking, right? It got me thinking in terms of this in particular. So this starts like this. From Delphi to Google, ancient oracle to modern day search engines. And it seems like, right, those things right there may not have a lot in common. However, when you dig a little deeper, right, usually there are some things that are some quite alarming parallels to the ancient world. And in sometimes, right, we kind of need to be asking some of these questions in who is the man behind the curtain, as it were, sort of the Wizard of Oz type of situation. You know what I'm saying? And spoiler alert on what, a 60 or 70-year-old movie, however old that movie is. The Wizard of Oz has the man in the curtain pulling the levers, running the would-be wizard, okay? The would-be wizard of actual Oz. Okay, so anyway, that's what's on my mind tonight with this article. And let's read just a little bit of this so you guys see where we're coming from. In ancient Greece, the people relied heavily on oracles, not only to predict the future, but to reveal secret information and the answers to their deepest philosophical questions. One of the most famous of all oracles was at Delphi. Other people say Delphi. I'm going to say Delphi for tonight. It's spelled Delphi. Very famous. Located in an enormous sacred enclosure consecrated to the god Apollo. Legend and mythology say that Delphi took its name from Delphine, Delphyne, the serpent that lived there and was killed by the god Apollo. However, in other accounts, the serpent was the male serpent Dracon called Python. So there you go. Some different, as we know, the Greek mythology is kind of all over the place depending on where you get the sources from and all the rest of this. So we're going to just, we're going to roll with that. What's up, guys? I see in the chat. What's up, MJ, Fred? We're doing this a little bit weird style. What's up, Elizabeth? What's up, Joe? I see you guys there. We're going to do this a little bit weird style. Like I said, it's more of a hybrid show, more like the old Troubled Mind shows when we're off the radio. So that's what's on deck tonight, and we're talking about this bizarre little article, and it continues. So the infamously, the mentally unstable Roman Emperor Nero relentlessly tried to learn the timing and circumstances of his death from the oracle at Delphi. All right, and so there's a lot of famous people who've actually been weaved into the story of the oracle at Delphi, and some of the things that they right, like as always, if you kind of pay attention to what oracles do say and don't say, is that it's oddly enough that, what would you say, fortune telling and being the Nostradamus of the time, I don't know, what would you call it, right? An actual oracle is that things were never really a linear fortune-telling, right? And so what that would mean is, of course, that they might give you your oracle, your seeing, or whatever this is called, in a riddle of sorts, okay? And there are many examples of this with, like, the ancient oracle and the what would you call it? The Oedipus, right, where you marry your mother and kill your father, and that's the again, spoiler alert for a 2,000-year-old story, but right, 3,000-year-old story, whatever this happens to be. But so the Oedipus, just for example, was prophesized. That's what I'm looking for. The prophecy was prophesized to actually be part of a situation where he was foretold to kill his father and marry his mother. All right, and so as a result of this, what did they do? Once the fortune teller prophesied this, he was disappeared, right? He was made to go away because, of course, you can't have that. And so they abandoned Oedipus in the woods, I believe, as the story goes. And, of course, what happens, right? So he's found by a local farmer, or I think it was a woodsmith or something like this, right? So this baby is left to die, the Oedipus story. And the only reason they left him in the forest is because of the prophecy, all right? And so the question with this type of stuff is the self-fulfilling prophecies, okay? So that's kind of what's on my mind tonight a little bit with some of this stuff. But then it goes deeper than that. In that, well, in the old days, so the oracle at Delphi was said to be an actual, a seer that was actually able to tap into the gods, Apollo in this specific instance, right? And be able to tell you the future based on what the gods relayed information to the oracle. We'll get into some of this as we go and talk about some of this more in depth, but just kind of laying the foundation of what's on my mind tonight. Because this stuff, again, when you start looking at the ancients and the way they do oracles and prophecies and the rest of this stuff, it does seem to channel from the gods, does it not? It seems to channel from some higher divine power or divine source. And so as a result of that, where's this information coming from? All right? And that's what's on my mind tonight. If you have an oracle that's linked to the god Apollo, let's say, like the oracle at Delphi, and they're channeling information from said god, who would be Apollo, of course, as I said, and, is the information actually coming from Apollo? There's a lot of theories here, and so I'd love to hear your guys' take on this, of course, as we go tonight. And that's what's on my mind tonight. So where does this information come from? Because if you look at the modern-day similar parallel of the, right, like I said, the Wizard of Oz, the man behind the curtain, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain pulling the levers, right? Pay attention to the big fire-headed whatever's going on with this. And you see, right? Keep your eye on the shiny object. There's a lot that are kind of parallel with what's happening in this this little narrative that we got going today. What's up, guys? I see you in the chat. Thanks for hanging out with us. But so that's the question tonight. What do you think about prophecies? What do you think about oracles? What do you think about this oracle at Delphi? And if you had to pin it down and say there was a modern-day oracle, this article says that it could be modern-day search engines. And do you think, in and of itself right there, there's enough of a parallel to kind of make a connection here? And, well, I think so. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So as always, I'd love to hear from you guys if you want to be part of the show. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Like I said, I'm on the road, so if you're just showing up and you're wondering why the stream's a little different, why my voice is a little different, I don't have all my fancy equipment at home. I'm literally on the road in California, and we're just doing this kind of with a laptop and a bad attitude like we were doing last night. So anyway, that's what's going on. If you guys are wondering what's up and why the stream isn't normally up to speed as it can be, well, that's why. So anyway, so we're going to continue here. Now the parallel I'm trying to make is straight from this article. It's amazing. GreekReporter.com reports this again: from Delphi to Google, ancient oracle to modern day search engines. And I think there's a huge parallel here. I think this is one of those situations where we talk about algorithms on this show, and we talk about all kinds of different things, but we don't actually really kind of dig into why some of this stuff could be, well, maybe say from the ancient world, maybe from, let's say, how about this? How about this? This is what's on my mind. We'll cut to the chase and just throw it out there as food for thought. If you have let's say a godlike entity, in this case Apollo, supposedly channeling oracles, two oracles, information about the future, where is that information actually coming from? Where's that information actually coming from? Is it from the god Apollo? Does that exist? Is that real? Or what if these oracles are channeling something else? You know, we've kind of talked about Stephen Greer summoning lights in the sky as far as UFOs go and that type of thing. But what actually would you be channeling, right? What actually would you be summoning? These types of things. Do you think that there's something here that is to this? So I'm going to make the case tonight that I think it might be a little more sinister than we believe. And as always, don't mind the man behind the curtain pulling the levers, right? Keep your eyes on the shiny object. So here we go. What's up? I see you guys on Rockfin as that's up and going. What's happening? I see everybody over there. What's up, Joe, Ronald? I'm going to give Rockfin some extra love because, well, we get paid on Rockfin and not on YouTube. So there it is. All right. So anyway, no offense to that. Just what it is. Okay. So let's go. Let's keep on trucking with this. Now, this is again. So the parallel is that's what's in my mind. This is how this rests. Okay. So. The mentally unstable Roman Emperor Nero relentlessly tried to learn the timing and circumstances of his death from the oracle at Delphi. All right. Now, this is the message that the oracle gave the Roman Emperor Nero, who famously Nero was a tyrant. He was a bastard, and not definite literal version of that word, but he was just a punk. Nero was he was one of the worst emperors Rome ever had. Okay, so this was, and he was obsessed learning about when he was going to die, and this was the message he received from the Roman or from the oracle at Delphi. All right, the message was, beware of the 73rd year. Okay, now that's Nero, and so he wasn't tripping. He's like, okay, fine, that's cool. Like, I don't have to be worried about anything until I'm 73, right? Beware the 73rd year, right? So the emperor continued on in a false sense of security until shortly after this omen, he was killed by Galba, who, by the way, happened to be 73 years old. And this is what I'm saying, right? How you have this entire weird situation with oracles and with things that may not be linear, may not be. Well, I think that's the nature of oracles, isn't it? Where if they told you exactly what you needed to know and it was easy to figure out, well, then you had invaluable things. You had the knowledge of the future, and so I think that's why this is part of the oracle process. Is one, right? They could obfuscate if they're wrong. That's always an option. But two, right? You end up sort of doing a maybe interpreting things as they may or may not be. Okay, go back to let's say the Star Wars prophecy, which they kind of again jacked from ancient history as well, and oracles and prophecies and the rest of this. You remember that Anakin Skywalker was supposed to bring balance to the Force, right? He was infamously said by Qui-Gon Jinn in Episode 1 that he was the chosen one, the one to bring balance to that Force. But look what happened, right? It not always turns out the way you think it will. And that's sort of the situation here. But yeah, so what's going on, guys? Just doing our stream a little differently tonight, like I said. So we're still we are not on Fringe tonight because I don't have the equipment to make that happen because we are on the road and doing our thing. So we're going to try and do a in-between show here. So like I said, a little bit more like the old school shows where we don't have radio commercials, but I will try and break it about every 30 minutes for just a couple minutes to make sure the structure stays in place and give us a chance to maybe get up and grab a drink or hit the restroom or whatever. So anyway, so what are your thoughts so far tonight? The questions for tonight as we begin this conversation are a little something like this. Do you believe that prophecies are real? Okay? Oracles, as it were, are able to tell you the future. Okay? In this case, we're talking about the Oracle at Delphi. And of course, as you stay tuned and hang around, we're going to make the connection that not just the oracles of old could be meddling with your future. Well, we're going to make the case that the oracles of the modern day, that's right, are algorithms from Google, from Facebook, from the rest of this. And that's what's on my mind tonight. So what's up? See you guys in the chat. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for bearing with us as our quality isn't as hot or great as it normally is. I'm trying to do a lot of things at once on a little laptop. I'm honestly just amazed I can actually pull this off in any semblance of whatever. But yeah, so that's what's going on tonight, and that's what we're doing. So you want to be part of the show? What do you think about oracles? What do you think about prophecies? And why do you think they give us the prophecies in riddle? Is it because I stated that it's just too powerful to actually have direct knowledge of the future, and so it has to be sort of done allegorically or something else, something like that? Or that's the question, right? So do you believe oracles exist? What about this oracle at Delphi? We'll get into some of the specifics there, and as we talk about it tonight, and maybe tie it into the modern day, and who's actually the man behind the curtain pulling the levers that you shouldn't really be concerned about, right? So anyway, all right, there it is. All right, so we're going to keep on trucking here. If you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. I think the Discord's working. If you guys want to help me test the phone lines and the Discord, that would be amazing. And again, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being here with us. It's hard to be away. It's hard to be away when there's a lot of things to say. There's a lot of things to think about. There are conversations to be had. And that's what we're doing. So there we go. All right. So one more time, 702-957-1037. If you want to jump in the Discord, go to troubledminds.org. That's the official website. And the Discord link is right there on top. You cannot miss it. Thank you, guys. Appreciate the good feedback out there. Okay, so we're going to keep on trucking with this. Then you see what I'm saying, right? There's a parallel here. And we'll read just a little bit more of this article because it's pretty good stuff. So the Nero, the Roman Emperor Nero, was... beware of the 73rd year was the message he received from the oracle at Delphi, which he wasn't tripping about, but he was murdered by a man named Galba, who happened to be 73 years old. So you see, it's not necessarily direct knowledge of the future. It's always, what would Yoda say? Difficult to see. Always in motion, the future is, right? Something like that. That's my terrible Yoda. But you get it, right? I think this is a little bit weird that maybe it's impossible to have direct knowledge of the future, or is it? Or is it? Or is it? Okay, so let's go. Right from the article continues. However, that's certainly not the only well-known question asked of the oracle. Lead tablets reveal that the brilliant Roman orator Cicero asked the common Google search question. All right, the common Google search question: how to become famous. All right. Unfortunately, when Roman Emperor Theodosius I ascended to power, the oracle was shut down as it was associated with pagan cults and beliefs. However, it remains a great tourist attraction until this day, as people from all over the world travel to see the ruins of Delphi, I think that's what I was going to go with, and the famous Delphic oracle. So, and that's, there you go. I think that kind of sums it up on what's on my mind tonight regarding oracles, regarding the oracle at Delphi, regarding fortune-telling, seeing the future. And again, is there some sort of connection? Like, I think this is the thing, right? This is the thing that bothers me about this when I saw the article itself. It's like, wait a minute. We do have a direct parallel here, meaning that if you type into Google, right, how to become famous, all right, or you type it into YouTube or whatever else, all right, there is not a linear search engine, okay? It's something very different. It's something that's been weighted in particular to show you certain things versus other things, right? And so, of course, let's say you go to Google or YouTube and they want you to, become famous their way. They'll try and teach you how to make a YouTube channel, right? Things like this. Because it's weighted toward if you're famous, well, then they get a cut of your dough. You see what I'm saying? And it may not be exactly, as linear as I said. So I don't know. That's the thing, and that's what we're talking about tonight. That's what's on my mind. If you guys want to be part of the show, we're going to take a break here in just a minute. Like I said, we're going to try and keep the structure in place, but what I'll do is I'll do the fade in, fade out. We'll stop and say hi to the chat like we normally do, and then we'll be able to kind of keep going with our show tonight. But there we go. So the Oracle at Delphi, and is there some parallel? And so again, if you're channeling information about the future, where's this information coming from? So the Oracle itself, from the Oracle at Delphi, is supposedly from the god Apollo, okay? Which is fine. I'm okay with that. But what about if you type in how to become famous in, well, the Google search engine, all right? As the famous author Cicero actually described. Wait, what just happened? I think my headset just freaked out and went loud and then quiet. Okay, anyway. All right, so there we go. That's what's on my mind tonight. If you guys want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. And the question is this. Regarding prophecies, regarding oracles, do you think it's real, first? Specifically with the Oracle at Delphi. And then second, of course, if it's real, where do you think the information is coming from? Is it actually being channeled through the god Apollo? Or, right, we've talked about other things on this show, like the archons and some other maybe malevolent actors, maybe demons and things like this. That's the question, right? If you're fiddling with magic and looking to learn of the future, what do you think it is that's being contacted by a particular oracle? And that's what's going on tonight. And so as we get to that point where we're going to, like I said, we're going to do this like we did on Fringe and just pretend like we got a commercial running. But we won't. We'll just cut it and we'll talk to the chat and kind of catch up and say what's going on. So as we do this and we continue trucking, this is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. We're taking your phone calls tonight as we talk about oracles. We talk about their connection with modern day algorithms. And where do you think the information is actually coming from? If you want to be part of the show tonight, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Don't go anywhere. More Troubled Minds after the break. Alright, welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, DLive, YouTube, and Periscope. And this is a special travel stream as we broadcast from California on a laptop. And sometimes all you need is a laptop and a bad attitude. And we're proving that tonight. So apologize for the quality that's not up to our standard, but I think we're getting away with it. So tonight, we are discussing, that's right, oracles. All right, the Oracle at Delphi. Why do you think when they give us information about the future, it comes in riddles? Do you think there's something a little more interesting or different than maybe the information coming from Apollo? And maybe they're trying to deceive us in some way, very much like the self-fulfilling prophecies of old, or maybe this is something else entirely. Maybe the information that comes from the oracles themselves aren't from Apollo, and they're from something else. And that's what's on my mind tonight, and we'd love to hear your take on this. If you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can also join the Discord at troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link and get your ass in here. Just hop on the caller queue, and we'll put you on the show. All right, let's go to James Salcedo of Salcedo Paranormal. Welcome to the show, my friend. Are you there? Testing 1 2.
Hello.
Hello. I think we're good. I think Discord works. What's going on, James?
Sounds good.
How are you, man?
I'm good. I just thought I'd help you with test that out. See how the Discord's working.
I appreciate it. Sound check 1 2, guys. Can you hear him loud and clear out there? Please let us know how we sound. But thank you, James. Appreciate you breaking the ice tonight and being the first one to chime in here. What do you think about this this Oracle at Delphi stuff? And is the information being channeled from like a god of sorts, or do you think there's maybe a trickster at play here? And why do they give us riddles in prophecies?
Yeah, this has always been any kind of prophesizing or divination. It's always fascinated me as far as what the source is. I can't discount that there could be other entities that people are getting information from, but I also think in some cases they are maybe just collecting information from like the world and the news around them and using that to kind of come up with their own prophecies based on what their knowledge is. And I think part of the reason for being vague and for using riddles is it's open to interpretation, so that it's almost like a self-defense kind of thing where you acted this way. I didn't say that's how it was. I just gave you this prophecy. It could mean any number of things.
So their prophecies are, by their nature, open-ended, meaning that you can sort of make them into what you want them to be, right?
I think so, at least in some cases. I do think there's definitely, I'm not saying that direct messages from other entities about, the future. I'm not saying that's not possible. I just think that in some cases, it's hard to believe that every situation, every prophecy ever made is paranormal or supernatural in origin. I think we have to take into account all possibilities as if they're probably all true in one situation or another. Yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah, so okay, so back to like, I agree with you. Like it's impossible to know, right? Like with Nostradamus, right? Probably the most infamous fortune teller of like modern times, and by modern we're talking several hundred years back. But we're not. He's way more contemporary than something like the Oracle of Delphi, who of course was supposedly channeling the fortune, the prophecy of Apollo. All right.
Right.
And so the point kind of is this. Is that coming from Apollo, that entity? What is that thing? And that's what kind of tickled my brain tonight and got me thinking about, wait a minute, there could be something more at play here. Very much like, again, you do a paranormal podcast. So, for instance, let's say you're messing with a Ouija board and you ask whatever's contacting you who they are. Very much they can give you a false name. Am I right?
Oh, yeah. That's one of the problems with that, or not. That's one of the things to always be aware of whenever you're doing anything like that. You have to. It's never wise to take everything that you get as being 100% true. I mean, it's just like in real life, But especially with that, because there is no way to go and check this or that if you're just getting information through any kind of, like you said, Ouija board or any kind of ceremony. There's no easy way to check that.
Exactly. And so basically what I'm saying here is, let's say that Apollo, or whoever this happened to be, that was maybe even channeling information into the oracles at Delphi, was maybe not Apollo at all. Maybe it was some sort of ancient trickster spirit that was trying to cause trouble, trying to give people maybe fortunes that were open-ended enough as to cause strife, as to cause, maybe not the things they were saying, be deceptive, as it were. Something like that, right? Something like that is what kind of makes me go, uh-oh. which is why, you've heard me say this, which is why I don't want anybody pointing the bone at me.
Oh, I know. That's why, you mentioned the Ouija board. That's why I will never use one on my own. I think you have to, I don't know, you have to go through you have to learn as much as you can about that stuff before you mess with it, I think. So,
yeah, agreed. Yeah. And so I think that's the weirdness of this. And so I equated it to the Wizard of Oz, right? So where you have the Wizard of Oz, he's the big guy, it's the glowing head, the big, the whole deal. But then it's not him at all. There's somebody behind the curtains pulling the levers. And I think that's part of the issue here is, if they've said that the algorithms are the new God, right? They're able to lead our minds before, know what we want before we want it. And that's my parallel here. Do you think that there's a modern day parallel with that, and including now with an algorithm that can maybe pick up and know about what you want before you want it, and then it's not transparent, right? So that's the shiny object, is maybe Facebook or the Google search engine or what have you. But what ends up happening is, who do you think the man is behind the curtain pulling the levers? Because there's somebody there, isn't there?
Oh yeah, it's the people that want to take all the power and all the money. They're just, no, I totally agree. I love that example, that analogy. That's perfect. I think that's excellent.
Thank you. Excellent is better than not excellent. Very good stuff. I appreciate it, my man. So anything else while we got you on? I know you got all kinds of good stuff to talk about, because you're the paranormal guy, and this is fortune telling, man. You tell me.
Yeah, no, I think I basically said it. I mean, it's just always be careful. I think it's like you said. So many people just buy into whatever they're being told, either because they want to buy into it, or they just haven't done any research, or they don't know how to do research. I think there's definitely, especially now, I think there's definitely a company, the people in the companies that have all the power. Of course they're using all the search engines and websites to get you to, to ask the questions they want you to ask.
Yeah, definitely, and steering you a particular way, which very much, right, like that, the self-fulfilling prophecies is kind of what I'm talking about too, with that whole Oedipus stuff. So it's like the open-ended prophecy. Actually, they dropped him in the forest, right, to die, but then he was picked up by a farmer or a miller or whoever it was, and then that person ended up raising him, and as a result fulfilled the prophecy. And if they had not acted on the prophecy itself, they would not have fulfilled the entire thing, right? So I think that's the weirdness here, is that maybe we can be fooled into doing things that we normally wouldn't have if we didn't believe the prophets, as it were, right? Something like that.
Yep.
Yeah. So trickster spirits, who knows? So that's what we're talking about. I appreciate it, James. Anything else, my man?
That's it. Thank you again for mentioning my show. I always appreciate it.
You got it, man. You got it. Thanks for doing a good show. I'll talk to you soon.
Yep. Take care.
Thank you. James Salcedo Paranormal. Check out his podcast. He does a podcast. Again, he was just live right before our show today. He just changed his schedule, as far as I'm aware, to Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And there you go. So, okay, so that's the question tonight. What do you think is going on with this, the prophecies, as it were, okay? We're starting with the Oracle at Delphi. And, of course, right, the Oracle there was supposedly channeling Apollo and giving people information, okay, about the future. And so that's the question. Do you think it's possible that maybe somebody was posing as Apollo, all right? And maybe a sort of trickster spirit was channeling information to these actual priestesses as they were. We'll get into some of that, actually. Let's do that. And I think that's what's going on. Let's see. Reading the chat. What's up, guys? Good chat as always. All right. So yeah. Okay, back to this real quick. So again, right? So the mentally unstable Roman Emperor Nero relentlessly tried to learn the timing and circumstances of his death from the oracle at Delphi. The message he received was, beware of the 73rd year. Okay? So clearly, in a linear fashion, that means, well, I don't have anything to worry about till I'm 73. I'm probably going to live a long, full life. And that's not what happened, because shortly thereafter, yes, he was murdered by Galba, who happened to be 73 years old. And that's kind of what I'm looking at here, is when we talk about this stuff and think about ancient oracles or even modern oracles, that's the thing here. That's what's on my mind tonight, and that's what I'd love to hear your take on. So we even threw Ouija boards into the mix. Do you think that maybe any sort of ritual or divination, maybe in the Ouija board sphere, is also similar to maybe the oracles of old, or even, let's say, the oracles of modern times? I know they're out there. I know they exist. What do you guys think? Like I said, we're looking to hear from you. You want to be part of the show? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037, and we'll put you on the show. Thinking about this, talking about this, and wondering what's on your mind. So, so if you're just joining us, we are on the road, so the quality is a little different on the stream. We are not on the Fringe. We're doing our thing, and we've got a rerun playing on the Fringe. I'm juggling a lot of things right now at the same time. So that's what's going on. If you're wondering what's up with my voice and what's up with the stream, why it's a little different, we'll be back to that regular scheduled program next week. But right now, we're trying to make do with, like I keep saying, a laptop and a bad attitude. Let's do it. All right, let's go to Joe in Florida. Welcome to the show, my friend. How are you tonight?
I'm okay. How's everybody doing?
A-okay, man.
So, pretty interesting subject here. I just kept thinking on the oracle, if they're tapping into something that might just be kind of floating around there, maybe they're interpreting it as best as they can, kind of like when we wake up through a dream, where certain things have certain meanings, 73rd. And then the other thing that I think about, though, is if it's given as a riddle, maybe the person that gives it as a riddle, whether this could be evil or whatever we consider it, if you give somebody something as a riddle, that's going to make that person think about it. And the word is power. If that person thinks about it enough, maybe they're creating their own reality. If they create their own reality, the person who gave them the riddle can be out of it. In other words, not directly responsible or no negative energy. They just kind of pushed it into motion. The person that it was directed at obsessed over it. Therefore, it happened. And the person that originally said it is off the karmic hook, I guess you could say.
Right. So that's why it's riddles and open-ended, because maybe you're not pointing the bone at people as the oracle, right? So you're not dealing out death and judgment per se. But if it comes in a nice candy-coated wrapper, then you're not responsible. Like a enter at your own risk sort of situation, right?
Pretty much. Without signing blood on the contract. But what I find interesting, though, because you've jumped straight to algorithms, I find interesting when we look at things like Matt Groening and The Simpsons. And I don't know if the proper word would be causality, self-fulfilling prophecy, but if he was feeding these things, and I never really watched The Simpsons, but, everybody's got videos on YouTube and how they predicted the future. But if you're, like we've talked about before, if you're showing this on a program, you're literally programming reality. And we have mass self-fulfilling things. Whether it's presidents, 9/11, they say that parts of The Simpsons predicted 9/11, on and on and on. So it's really interesting, kind of makes you go, was Matt Groening tapping into something? Was Edgar Casey? Excellent topic. I know that I've heard that the Oracle at Delphi, in that cave, they may have gotten high from gases. But who's to say and who's to judge? People do mushrooms and everything else and maybe come back a little bit more enlightened than some of us, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. So interesting. So maybe Matt Groening is actually, of the Simpsons creator, is actually one of the modern day oracles. Maybe he's actually channeling something, and that's why some of those his predictions have actually come to pass. Interesting. And so, but of course, right, in some cases, even those seem to be riddles, don't they? Like they're just close enough to where it begs the question of whether it's coincidence or whether it's something else entirely, right? Maybe he is channeling something. Very much like Nikola Tesla. He said that the only reason he was as knowledgeable as he was is he was able to channel some entity from some other place. Not here, not of this world. And so maybe that's what's happening right now. Who knows, man? That's a good point. I didn't even think of it in terms of that.
In a sense, maybe whatever we see is a variation of whatever multiple, different realities. So maybe we can't give an exact thing because, like you said, Yoda says, difficult to see, always moving. It is always moving. Maybe it's moving with different probabilities or different outcomes. So what we're getting in that riddle is the hard fact or what is going to happen. We know it's 73. Okay. Now, could it be in one reality, it's a 73-year-old guy. Maybe in another reality, it's a 73-year-old woman. Well, if somebody has the ability to see that, maybe they just can't get the detail because they can't get the timeline.
Yeah,
if there's multiple, if there's a multiverse.
Yeah, and it seems like have you ever heard like any kind of prophecy that was like bang on? So the skeptic would say, well, that's because you can't tell the future, right? That's what the skeptic would say. But then again, they've been superstitions or whatever else it is. But if they go back thousands of years back to the Oracle at Delphi, which is where we're starting with here tonight, is that do you believe there's something to this? Do you think this is actually possible?
Well, I definitely think there is, and I'll tell you why. The Oracle of Delphi, original Oracle, think about the times they lived in. A lot less distracted than we are now. A lot more in tune with their surroundings, probably. And at that time, questioning things. Not that there was an enlightenment, it was before Dark Ages, but, around all those times, there was science, things were flourishing, and things were kind of open. I mean, you had some despotic emperors in times, but if you were able to live a life in nature and be unpolluted by what we have now, you probably would have a better chance of manipulating or seeing what an outcome might be. If there's, if there's a matrix to this that somebody can read, if there's tea leaves that somebody's reading, we could say some things are total guesses, but at some point in time, somebody's right. Somebody's prophecies come out. Was it a lucky guess? I don't know. Will we ever know? Where that information came from.
Will we ever know? Therein lies the crux, does it not? Meaning that if it's...
Well, it goes to the Big Bang.
Yeah.
Like we said before here, sometimes when we say the Big Bang, everything's already happened. We're just living in that shadow or that flash. And some of us get deja vu. I mean, I'll give you an example that happened to me today. I was about to leave. I was leaving church to go to cemetery. And I get on my phone, and I look up the cemetery's number, and there's a girl that comes up, because she was a sales girl there years ago. So the cemetery number comes up because it says cemetery, and then the girl comes up with cemetery next to it. And I'm like, oh, I haven't talked to her in forever. She moved away. I call the cemetery, tell them I'm going to be there. That was it. We get to the cemetery. Would you believe it? 4 hours later, the girl calls me out of the blue because she was in North Carolina, seeing how I'm doing, and leaves a vague message on my voicemail. It's like, was there a connection there that was subconscious that made her call? I don't know. Are we all connected? Can some of us tap into that a little bit better? I think we can. I think some people can tap into it a little bit better. I think when some of us get up in the morning and try to think of a positive day or a positive outcome, we're just scratching the surface of what the abilities that we have are. Self-fulfilling prophecies.
Yeah, and I think even like throwing out the paranormal or the supernatural here, I think that you can make an argument for sort of that Akashic record sort of situation, meaning that even scientists have claimed that time exists in all forms at all times, meaning the past, the present, and the future is here now. And so if you could somehow tap into that, it doesn't need to be supernatural at all, does it? It becomes science. So yeah, I don't know. I think interesting ways to look at this and where this information is coming from.
I mean, I would look at that more than, the algorithms are great, and the algorithms, not that they're great, they're not great. I'll take that back. But algorithms, I think Google is what we feed it from encyclopedias. And like an algorithm does, it's going to take its best guess based on trial and error. Trial and error, trial and error, trial and error. An oracle or a fortune teller or a seer, I think we're tapping into something totally different. That unless, the quantum singularity could do, I don't think Google will ever be able to do that. I might be able to predict crime, or we've seen that. I might be able to predict this or predict that, but it's always going based on past experience and what we feed it. Which, let's face it, we feed the internet a lot of negative stuff. So you're going to probably get negative outcomes. It does manifest in life. But anyway, I've been long-winded, and I will let somebody else get on. So,
you're the best, Joe.
Thank you.
You're the best, Joe. Thanks for calling. Thanks for chiming in. God bless you and the family. Thanks for you too. Talk to you soon. There you go. Joe in Florida. Good stuff as always. All the great calls. I appreciate it, James, Joe. Good calls. Good stuff. We're talking about prophecies tonight, guys. Well, this article piqued my interest in discussing the oracle at Delphi and describing not just the ancient oracle the way it used to be, like we're kind of thinking in terms of, did the oracles get information directly from Apollo, like they said? And we'll get into the gas, like the poison gas and the rest of that. And right, because some people have said they were the oracles at Delphi were just perpetually high because of a noxious gas that was coming out of the chamber in which the sacred chamber, as it were. But that's the question, right? The question on my mind tonight, and why I thought this was worthy of discussion, is because do you believe, the questions for the evening, do you believe that maybe oracles and telling the future is possible? And second, if it is, where's that information coming from? Like I discussed there with Joe a little bit, do you think it is based in science? Maybe sort of like the Akashic record sort of situation with science and time existing in all forms and at all times, right? Or is it maybe they're channeling some entity, very much like we discussed with James when he called in, maybe Ouija boards? And if so, do you think it's possible we're being misled by trickster spirits or things like this, right? And that's what would be suspicious to me, is you contact something from the quote other side, and what is that thing that you're contacting? Okay, clearly it's not human. I think we could probably all agree mostly that that's the case, that it's not human. But beyond that, what are they trying to tell us? Is there some sort of trick going on with these the way this rolls? So that's what's going on. What's up, MJ? Says it's possible. Okay, we're going to catch up with the chat in just a sec. And so here's what we're going to do. We're going to just keep on trucking. We're going to just pretend like we're everything's normal and we're not on the road, but trying to do our best here with a good show in spite of just a laptop and a bad attitude. So Again, if you're just joining us, this is the travel version of Troubled Minds, and I literally just have one laptop, and I have like, I don't know, 30 screens probably open on this sucker, 30 tabs and all kinds of different stuff. So still trying to make this happen, and I think so far so good. So thanks for sticking with us, guys. Next week should be back to normal. So we'll do this week kind of like this, and we'll be back next week as you've come to expect the quality of Troubled Minds. So there we go. So as we kind of wind this down, let's go top of the hour break, and we're talking about oracles tonight. And specifically, we'll start with the Oracle at Delphi, like we said. And do you think it's possible to actually channel some sort of entity to give you information about the future? And then secondary, if it's possible, do you think, as a layer on top of that, that we get trickster spirits maybe we're contacting that are giving us bogus information, trying to fool us, trying to create a future that may or may not come to pass unless we encountered them? Yeah, that's what's on my mind tonight. What are your thoughts? This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. If you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And join the Discord at troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link, and there we go. There it is. Don't go anywhere. More Troubled Minds after the break. All right, welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and tonight we are talking about oracles. The Oracle at Delphi, and the man behind the curtain. Meaning, do you think the Oracle is getting information from a divine source, or do you think the Oracle can be deceived by a trickster spirit of sorts, posing as the divine source, Apollo in this case, or something else? That's the question. That's what's on my mind tonight, and I'd love to hear what you think. If you want to be part of the show, give us a call, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037, and we'll put you on the show. And you can also join the Discord at troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link and join the caller queue. And that's another way. That's how we do this internationally. We have people listening all over the world, and it's easy to dodge the long distance nowadays with the internet. So one more time, if you want to be part of it, 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. And we've got Daryl on the phone. So let's go to Daryl in New York. Daryl, welcome to the show. How are you tonight?
Right? Kind of, right? I think it's kind of like that.
Hello.
So Arcane says, yes, I do believe you can channel entities.
Daryl.
Are friendly ones and evil. All
I'm
right, so
mute
then
you
let's have that
until you mute up.
tonight. How do you tell the difference?
I hate listening to myself. All right, there we go. You're up, Daryl. Whenever you're ready, please mute the stream, and then we'll put you on the show. You guys want to be part of it? 702-957-1037, troubledminds.org, and there we go. Daryl, you there? Daryl? That's one, two.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Hello?
Loud and clear. Go right ahead. How are you tonight?
Oh, yeah. I'm good. How are you?
Doing well, thanks. What do you think
Good.
about fortune tellers and this whole Oracle at Delphi thing?
Well, I was just writing this down. I mean, we have you're talking about an oracle. Then you're talking about what was the Raiders of the Lost Ark, the
Ark of the Covenant. The Ark.
Ark of the Covenant, right? That was like a special magical thing. Like, what was that? The cup that he drank from? But it was so powerful.
No. That's known as the mercy seat, actually, and that was basically it was an antenna to speak to God. It was
right. To speak to God.
Yeah.
And if you touched it, you would die. Apparently,
Correct.
They had special ways of carrying it. Whatever happened to that thing? Somebody lost it, or is it somewhere?
Lost
or is
to
it a
history.
rumor?
Lost to history. So I think the last. I'm not a scholar here, but I think the last actual mention in ancient texts at all, biblical and otherwise, is that it disappeared when the Babylonians destroyed the first temple. I believe that's when the ark disappeared. And
was that created by Moses when they melted all their gold stuff at the tower at the Mount Sinai, it was made of solid gold. Was that what they made with all the gold that they had, or that was a different gold thing?
I think that's related. I don't know exactly, but I do know that he did put the Ten Commandments inside the Ark. So, yeah, the timeline matches up. Yeah.
That's what the Ten Commandments were in the Ark of the Covenant. Because that's what it was, right?
That's
the
what it is.
original Ten Commandments.
You got it.
Oh, see, we should have made copies of those. You know,
Yeah, right.
That's what you need. You can't really, you know, you got to make a copy, you know, for your future generations. That was very irresponsible.
Exactly.
But something that powerful. I mean, you know, what's an oracle though? 'Cause I'm sorry to be so ignorant, but it sounds to me like something similar to the Ark of the Covenant. You know, something that powerful, or a Ouija board for that matter, which you can make out of cardboard. You know, and just, you know, use a little glass. You don't have to buy it from Parker Brothers. I've used them. Have you ever used one?
I haven't actually. And like I said, I'm not trying to get the bone pointed at me, so I'm not going to use one. But so again, this is I get to have it both ways, right? I cannot believe in it, but also be like, no thanks. I'm going to do both.
I'll tell you, there's some power in that. I don't know why. I don't know why you can. That little thing can create. There's an energy to it. I don't know why it would work so well, but I've used them. You know, they say you shouldn't use them, but you know, I don't think they're any different from any other tool that you would use to talk to, you know, the dead. You know, you could use those sticks or a talking palette, or I mean, there's a lot of different ways with you know, you use to talk to the dead, I guess, or who knows who you're talking to. But I don't know why the Ouija board is so taboo. You know, maybe people just don't know how to use it correctly or respectfully. Perhaps I'm sure we didn't. You know.
Yeah. So the weird part is if there's a couple things at play. If you think a Ouija board can contact the other side, my point here is very much with like an oracle who tells the future. Who knows what they're channeling? What are you contacting with a Ouija board? You said you've used a Ouija board before?
Oh my God, I couldn't stop when we first discovered it, and not just in New York. I used it in Toronto when I was in a show up there, and I'll tell you, I was left alone in this house after using that Ouija board, and that house was very active. Like a lot of stuff was going on at night, and it was really frightening to be alone there because I don't know what we called up, but it was hostile. I mean, you could ask you could ask it. You could feel the tension sometimes with what you would contact, because you'd be like, hey, who's out there? You know, is anybody there? And boom, it would start, you know, the palette would start to move. And you'd feel somebody, you'd even feel their personality would change depending on who you contacted. And they would spell stuff out for you. You know, you'd say, spell it out, and they'd spell it out. And we'd swear nobody was pushing it. So I think we were all being very honest that it was definitely not us that was creating the letters. And you could tell each time, you know, the energy of them. You could tell if it was a man or a girl. They would tell you who they were. Sometimes they didn't even speak in English, you know. And sometimes they were not interested in talking, you know. And they weren't necessarily there to help you. You know, you were kind of interrupting them. So I don't know. You know, I don't know what we were channeling. It's true. You really got to be careful. Maybe you have to be very specific in what you're looking for, or who you're looking for. Perhaps we were just like so wet behind the ears. We're like, who's out there? Anybody home?
It's like a radio. Is anybody listening?
Yeah. Or like spirit boxes, like they have that thing with the frequencies. That's pretty much what you do with those ghost boxes. But you're trying to find somebody. You're trying to channel somebody's, you know, dead relative or dead whatever, you know. Or sometimes who are those people? They used to channel dead celebrities, or so they said. Do you know who I'm talking about? That was really interesting.
Yeah, like the back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, like it was like super. Everybody was super into spirituality, and that's what they would do. And so, like they'd have like dinner parties, everybody get together and do that. Or do you mean something else?
Oh, something more current. They were very current. They would channel Jesus. They channeled, you know, and they wrote books about them. And I'll be honest, I don't know who their names are. I'm not going to repeat it, but I heard them on one show, and we wanted them to talk to Jimi Hendrix. And they, why not? We talk to anybody. And they were doing pretty good until we asked Jimi Hendrix what his favorite song was. And they didn't know anything about Jimi Hendrix. And Jimi Hendrix from the Dead couldn't name one song he wrote. So I started to doubt their, legitimacy at that point.
Ah, interesting. Interesting. So it was clearly somebody who was not Jimi Hendrix.
Mm-hmm. I don't think they got Jimi Hendrix that time. But, I mean, they were, like, answering questions coming from the dead from any famous people you could choose. And most of the answers were pretty spot on as long as you were in their league. But as soon as they were out of their element, they couldn't answer quite as authentically as you'd expect, So we nailed them on that. I think they had to have knowledge of that person. Elvis they spoke to. That was really entertaining. I'll tell you that much. But I don't know. Should we be messing with things that we don't know about? Are we supposed to know the future? Can knowing the future help us? Help us with our present? Or I know we screwed up in the past. We haven't learned from our mistakes, have we?
No, that's for damn sure. And so we agree that if we're channeling information from like a higher entity of sorts, it could be somebody deceiving us. So why do you think that they give us information in riddles then?
Good question. They're entertained. Maybe we're entertaining them, She's on the other side. They need more entertainment. They don't have Broadway there, They have to wait for those celebrities to show up. And they don't even know what songs their favorite is. They forget what their favorite songs are. So they can't even entertain them in that era, in that reality.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe it's turned on its head and the upside down truly is the upside down, meaning that we're the entertainment. And they're using us for sport. Yeah, I like the idea.
Could be. Good maybe cocktail there,
Definitely. Good stuff. Anything else while we got you on, Daryl?
No, I'm pretty good. I'm interested to see who else is Night Stalker out there. Is he gonna call in?
I think he's doing his other show right now with Dave Cruz and those guys. So he'll probably pop in a little bit later, I would imagine.
A good topic, good stuff. And do we have our Mr. Mr. Berry,
Senator Berry? I don't see him out there.
Oh well.
I'll keep an eye out for you.
Okay, keep an eye out.
Will do. Thanks, Daryl.
Okay, have a good night.
You too. Appreciate the call. There you go. You guys want to be part of the show? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can also join the Discord at troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link. We'll put you on the show. Simple as that. And all right, so lots of good chat here that I think we should get to. Okay, MJ wants to know bone. So the bone reference. So what I mean is that very much like when you get, very much like the Oracle at Delphi, you get riddles, okay? And so meaning that you don't get a linear fortune telling. It's more of it's a riddle that kind of points you in a particular direction, but it could be open-ended, so it could point you in multiple directions, okay? So, meaning that it becomes an earworm, becomes a brainworm. It becomes something that messes with maybe your own intention because it confuses you because you're not sure which direction it will follow. And so, back to that self-fulfilling prophecy, it's called pointing the bone. I think it's like an old voodoo term where if you point the bone at somebody and say they're going to die, it will consume them. And so the curse itself is that you end up becoming what they tell you you're going to become. And so you become so frantic that you make the death happen. And it's not necessarily the magic or the curse. So that's the term, pointing the bone. And so that's why I'm not going to do any... again, like I said, not that I believe this stuff, by the way, which is okay if I do, of course, but I don't want anybody pointing the bone at me. And James has it right. He says, oh, I see. You'll suggest that I use a Ouija board because I have a paranormal show, but you won't use one. Yep, exactly. Exactly. But, right, so you see the power of suggestion. And so I just kind of don't want anybody trying to change the power of my own, manifesting. I don't broadcast in a circle assault or have the power sigils on my walls or anything like this, right? And nor do I know a lot about it, but what I'm saying is that that's just for me. Staying away from that stuff is that's where I'll stay. Pretty good chat here. Let's see some of this other stuff. James says it's a tool, and like any tool, if you don't respect it or take care of it when using it, it can have negative effects on you and others. And there we go. Emin, what's up? Emin the Spook adds, the Ark of the Covenant is one example of death by holiness. God has provided specific instructions on carrying it, and failing to do so would result in instant death. And yep, as Daryl stated, famously depicted in Raiders of the Lost Ark. Great movie. I love that movie. Promethean says, the problem with the Ouija board is Ouija is impossible to pronounce as Ouija. Definitely a trickster there. Yeah, right? There we go. All right, what's up? There's Derek. He knows what's up. What's up, the Night Stalker? Okay, so we're there's more here, right? Okay, so let me get to this. We were talking about the Oracle at Delphi, all right? And so what do you believe? So now this is the thing. Now as we get into some of this, how it may relate to the algorithms that I was kind of pointing to, is in the old days, right? So just to describe it, an oracle. This is from Merriam-Webster, the dictionary. The oracle means this. In ancient Greece, a person, such as a priestess, through whom a god was believed to speak. Number 2, the place, such as a shrine, where people went to ask questions of an oracle. And number 3, an answer or message given by an oracle. All right. Now, oddly enough, as you know, we're kind of pointing this in the direction of, well, if you're channeling information from an entity, an unknown entity, and in this case again, the entity would be Apollo. All right, Apollo. That would be the patron god of the Oracle of Delphi, and that would be, yeah, right. But what I'm saying is it possible that if they're channeling entity or information from an entity, that it is not Apollo, that it is indeed some sort of trickster spirit posing as what an oracle would expect Apollo to be. And that's the thing. That's what's going on. And I don't know. As it gets to algorithmic versions of this, once again, oddly, the term oracle also fits in with, yeah, that's right, from Wikipedia here, the Oracle Corporation. You guys familiar with this term? That's right. Their former headquarters was in Redwood Shores, California. Oracle is an American multinational computer technology corporation headquartered in Austin, Texas. They moved from California in 2020. The company sells database software and technology, cloud-engineered systems, and enterprise software products, particularly its own brands of database management systems. Now, well, how does that fit? How does that actually fit? Well, a database is what? It is a digital collection of information, all right, where we store information, where all the information goes, where when the algorithms collect that information, they put it into the database, and then they also remove it from the database to tell our fortunes, per se. You see what I'm getting at here? Meaning, of course, this, that they're trying to read our minds. They're trying to tell our futures before we know our own future. And so the whole point is, and the reason I bring up algorithms and, kind of merge the esoteric world with the digital world, is because very much like the Wizard of Oz and the man behind the curtain, who is actually running those algorithms? Who is that man behind the curtain? And, well, what are they trying to make us do? I think that's the question. And weirdness. So we're taking your phone calls. Good stuff so far. Fantastic calls. What do you guys think? Is it possible to tell the future? And as Facebook is now actually doing it in real time, along with Google and Twitter and some of these other guys, do you think maybe this information about telling our future is coming from some maybe not an algorithm at all? Maybe there's some sort of digital connection to that esoteric source. Is it possible that maybe a company like Oracle, the name Oracle, is actually using those databases and deriving information from, Oh, I don't know. I don't know. What's up, Penny? I see there in the chat. How you guys doing? Sales and Records Systems, SARS. What's going on, guys? What's going on? Let's see. All right. Just looking at the chat, making sure we're caught up here. I think everything's good. All right. So what we're gonna do? Is, like I said, if you're just joining us, we're kind of on the road right now, and this is sort of a Troubled Minds hybrid show. I literally have a laptop and a bad attitude, and I'm just trying to make it happen. So. You don't have the crispy microphone and all the great equipment I usually have at home because I'm not at home. So we're doing all of this just on one little screen, and it's harder than it looks. So just FYI, I've got a nice headset on. I like the headset. I got a nice little headset, but it's still not great. It's not great. All right, let's see. What else do we got? Promethean says the computer oracle theory was that if you had enough information stored and instantly retrievable, you could predict the future. And that's the point. That's the whole point, okay? So the database itself becomes what? It becomes Apollo, does it not? The database itself becomes, once you pack all the information into it, it can tell the future, very much like Promethean says. And if you do, is that or is that not voodoo, as it were? Once you get enough information in one place and you're able to tell the future, yeah. At what point does it become something very much like contacting something from the other side, something from a Ouija board, something from channeling an entity that would give you an actual fortune, right? An actual prophecy. So anyway, what's up, guys? Everybody follow Penny Bunny on YouTube. Pretty please. We got also the Curious Bunny. The Curious Bunny on YouTube. She's got 2 channels. All right, so what's up? We got Daryl says it's AI, and so yeah, that's what's on my mind tonight. I don't know, and I think the more you kind of dig into this, right? So the Oracle, that very much like Promethean said, the Oracle Corporation is into databases, and so you notice the name of the company is Oracle. All right, no coincidence there, because I think that right, is this one of those situations where the Oracle at Delphi is now actually just the Oracle of Silicon Valley that just moved to Texas because California's too expensive. Wink, wink. But I don't know. I think this is where we start to wonder if these 2 worlds are colliding, the digital world and the esoteric world, and telling the future, being able to predict things based on past data, right? Pretty scary stuff. All right, so that's what we're doing tonight. We're hanging out and talking about this stuff. Like I said, it's sort of a hybrid show. We don't really have the normal stuff like the commercial breaks from Fringe because we're not on Fringe. We're playing a replay over there. But what we're doing is we're going to take the commercial break time like we normally do and be social in the chat. So we're going to do that. And we're talking about oracles tonight. The Oracle at Delphi, talking about how it kind of connects to the digital world. And once you pack enough information into a database, in Oracle, the Oracle company of Silicon Valley, what happens? Are we creating that Big Brother AI entity that is able to tell the future? It's not voodoo, it's not magic, it's not ritual, it's data-driven. And at what point do the 2 merge and become something equally frightening? And there we go. So I don't know. That's what's on my mind tonight. And so what we're going to do is, as you know, we're still doing our thing and doing the ins and outs. So this is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange, and we're taking your phone calls if you want to be part of the show tonight. We're talking about oracles. We're talking about the esoteric connection to possibly modern-day databases. You can call us at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037, and we'll put you on the show. And don't go anywhere. More Troubled Minds after the break. Alright, welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, DLive, YouTube, and Periscope. And this is a special version, hybrid version of Troubled Minds because I'm on the road. Laptop and a bad attitude version. And we're talking about oracles tonight. How different is the oracle at Delphi and the oracle of Silicon Valley? When, in the fantastic words of Promethean Reckoning, in the chat, the computer oracle theory was that if you had enough information stored and instantly retrievable, you could predict the future. And he continues with past information plus current information equals the future. Sounds very 1984, does it not? Thank you, Promethean, for being spot on with the information there. Like I said, I struggle to say things sometimes, and you just nailed it. So that's what we're talking about tonight, and we're taking your phone calls. If you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can also join the Discord at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. Just click the caller queue, and there you go. Easy as that. It's a nice Discord's a chat client, a voice client, and we use it to do a talk show. So there we go. All right, so let's keep on trucking. Thanks, guys, for being interested and wanting to discuss this stuff. Let's go to the Night Stalker, Derek in Massachusetts. Welcome, Derek. How you doing tonight, my man?
Going on, Mike? Great show.
Thank you. Appreciate it. What do you think?
Troubled road, you can call
it.
Right? Troubled wheels, something like that. I don't know. But yeah, cool stuff. I missed the beginning, so I'm trying to play catch up a little bit. But yeah, it makes sense to me. The idea that if you have all the data, if you just have like a record of everything that's ever happened, like a record of people's habits, the way they behave, and then a quantum computer to analyze all that data, the probabilities of everyone's actions based on what we've done in the past, and based on our like personal profiles or whatever, down to like, I don't know. I imagine they've curated like some serious profiles on us based on our searches and all kinds of stuff. So you have all this information in quantum computing. Like I can't imagine that they're not able to get a pretty good idea of what's going to happen. You know, in August, I know that the military said that they had that guide AI program that allows the military to like predict events like 3 or 4 days into the future or whatever. And that's just like what they're telling us. You know, so I'm not sure. The idea of like you're not actually communicating with an AI is interesting, though. That it might be something else. I'm not sure if that sounded like what you were kind of getting into before, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's so. If the basis of telling the future is paranormal, supernatural, or if it's linked to some sort of algorithmic control mechanism, are they related? Is it linked? Is it the same thing? Because time is time, and if you can predict the future, well, what are we tapping into is kind of the question in both counts, right? I think that's the weirdness of this.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure. Like I think in one aspect, just the idea of what we were just saying about the idea it being able to just process the probabilities of all this information, even without any outside influence, is I think probably enough to make a pretty good guess on what could possibly happen. It reminds me of like I was watching the second Matrix movie the other day, and how like Neo meets the architect, and how he's like analyzing all the different possible Neos and like the different reactions he gives like to the same situations and stuff. But he can't like process choice. That was his big flaw, I guess. The big like flaw in the program was that the free will or whatever kind of like what created Neo, kind of put a monkey wrench in the whole program and kind of toppled the whole thing. So, and especially like we were talking in the Shoot the Breeze or the We're Not Experts chat or whatever, and it kind of like haunted me when Monochrome Bailey was talking about the idea of AI is never going to be able to like understand choices like that. It's never be able to like have subtle intelligence like that. It's only really crunching numbers and calculating probabilities basically, and that like they're going to tell us with quantum computing that when they do have some kind of like awake AI, it's actually going to be an entity from the other side, and I think that's like really, really compelling and probably what's happening. And if that is possible, if like if Mattel, I said this in the chat, but if Mattel can contact entities with a Ouija board, which is just cardboard and plastic, there's no way that Silicon Valley can't do it with high technology, and it seems like a lot of these technology visionaries are getting their ideas from somewhere else, whether like psychedelic states or whatever, So it seems as if something from the outside is trying to influence us in some capacity, and that they're able to do it via technology. So it would lead me to believe that, I don't know, there might be an entity at work here,
Yeah, you know what's notable too about going back to where we started tonight with the Oracle at Delphi is that they say that there was some sort of noxious gas in this chamber. So they'd put the priestess in like this cauldron inside of this sacred chamber, and she would be the one telling the future, giving the prophecy, as it were. However, right, like if there's some sort of like actual noxious gas coming out of this chamber, creating like a maybe altered state of consciousness, like again, maybe I don't think it's too far-fetched to say that, like with machine L's and DMT and people seeing all kinds of crazy stuff in altered states, that maybe this was very much like the shamanic peyote journey, things like this, right? Maybe it is all related and it's all come from the same damn spot.
Exactly. And there's a couple of schools of thought with that, and I think that's like what's happening. Probably is that we're only processing. We've said this a million times, but we're only processing like a fraction, like 1% of what's available. Like we know that we can't like see infrared and stuff. We can't like hear dog whistles. There's a lot of information that we know we can't perceive, let alone the stuff we don't. So the idea that altered states just kind of changes the filter through which we're processing information, maybe allows glimpses into like future events, especially if time doesn't exist, like how we've said before in past shows and stuff, that these altered states and whatever function, whatever way, lack of sleep or like fasting or some kind of drug or pain in some cases, like just like tribes that will use like extreme pain to get in an altered state, any kind of thing to like just change the filter of the operating system in order to like maybe get information outside of our normal waking state, but also like there's the MK Ultra idea that like this giving them these psychedelics and these altered states, like putting them in these altered states, actually brings entities that like their main goal was to like make contact, and that's like what MK Ultra was really, really trying to do, was make contact with stuff, kind of like Stranger Things style, by like, honestly, it's the same thing as like these Oracle of Delphi, these like stealing these young girls from their homes and like drugging them all up and putting them in like basically like cages and stuff like in 300, and just like forcing them to I don't know, just like it's the same vibe, and the idea that they could be getting glimpses of stuff outside of our regular realm of perception, or they could be just be creating vessels for entities outside to come in and influence us through the oracle or through the algorithm, and that algorithm comes from Algol, the demon star. So it's all tied. Like the people who started it, created it, gave it its name, have these occult ties in mind. Like it's all part and parcel for it's part of the course. It's trippy. It makes you think.
Yeah, and two things so far different, so far removed from each other. Like again, esoteric, fortune telling, and then like algorithmic, fortune telling. It's still fortune telling, and it seems like they may not have such an obvious connection. But what you're describing there is Bailey was saying. You guys don't know Bailey? That's Monochrome in the chat. And
very smart.
Yeah, very smart. Bailey was saying that that the algorithms that are trying to make contact with us are not us, right? They're sort of going rogue already, and that a lot of the AI people that are working on that stuff can't even explain what machine learning and artificial intelligence even is anymore. It's sort of become a next level sort of situation, and so what actually is trying to contact us and from where? That becomes super weird.
Yeah, there's a researcher. I think his name is Nick Hinton. He's big on the did the world end in 2012? Are we living in a simulation Mandela effect type thing? But lately I think he's been getting into the idea that we're not actually dealing with AI, like an intelligence that we're building from scratch. It's the idea that we're contacting EIs or extended intelligences or things from the other realm, the other side or whatever, that are reaching out, and we're contacting them via these algorithms, as this quantum computing and stuff. That it's not like we're not creating like anything. We're finding something with technology from the other side that could potentially seems like it wants to get into here, and that ties into all the kind of like robotics and that kind of stuff, like building a vessel. Like even in the Matrix, Mr. Smith he unplugs himself, he gets into the real world somehow, like it seems to be the goal, and just to the idea of like there's something from the other side influencing us, and like maybe getting on the internet, like the Council of Nine I've been like interested in the last few months, the idea that this like pantheon of entities that are contacting people via channeling. They say they're from Sirius, they say they're aliens or whatever, but the military was contacting them famously in this seance in Maine in the 40s, or like very, very early 50s. Gene Roddenberry was involved. So like Star Trek and like Deep Space Nine is influenced by information that they got from the Council of Nine. So essentially, this Council of Nine in a seance, like at a time where we were just entering this UFO age, basically via Star Trek and via, it's like the guy who created like Esalen was there, and like his influences like Hubbard and Scientology and stuff. Basically everything we know, or the way the media, like the zeitgeist, thinks about aliens and UFOs is from this channeled contact with these entities at a seance. So that's just like one example of them really like influencing culture and the trajectory. And I think about what that did for the trajectory of humanity and what it did for technology and sci-fi and just the way our brains work and stuff. And then to keep it on this thing, like the Council of Nine, or the Order of the Nine Angles, this like new like terrorist group that's like using like the occult side of the Nazi stuff. Like they think that they're like a Homo Galacticus, this like new brand of evolution that like wants to go to the stars and wants to open portals to Lovecraftian old ones is literally their goal. But they're spreading information via the internet. But the heavy researchers, like researching them, haven't found any kind of like manifesto or any kind of like document that like is teaching these people anything. But they all seem to be having the exact same information somehow. They're all finding it somehow. So the idea being like, is there something already on the internet, like that's like teaching people things, or like contacting people things, or radicalizing people on the internet, or getting them to do stuff that's non-human. There's the show Evil on CBS on Paramount Plus. In the first season, there's an episode where this demon is doing exactly that. From like a few years ago, he's finding like basically like a bunch of incels, like these just like weirdos, and then coaxing them and getting them to like do crazy stuff, and you get something out of it, So is that already happening? Like, is that what, like, I don't know, is that what these algorithms are? Are these oracles are? Like, are these, like, I don't know. I'm not sure. It's interesting. I was kind of a rant and I rambled, but I don't know. Like, I like the idea of like, for the longest time I was like real into like the sci-fi futuristic idea, but just the last like 6 months to a year, I've been like really questioning the idea of like, is what we're contacting actually what they claim to be? Is there something actually from the other side influencing us through technology, through things like this, these oracles and these algorithms that are I don't know. You said it before. The idea of predicting the future does in some way kind of like set the future. So it's something to think about. I'm rambling, so
you're good.
I'll let you go. But
you're good, bro. You're the best. Derek from Massachusetts.
Really good stuff, Mike.
Thank you for the call.
Later,
appreciate it, my man. Talk to you soon. There you go. It's as simple as that. You want to be part of the show. Thanks, Derek. Always amazing stuff. And this is the thing, right? I see some people and they're saying wrong in the chat and this, that, the other thing. This isn't the answer show. You guys know this. This is about us kind of getting together and maybe discussing what the future may bring. And I think that's part of it is that we kind of go out there sometimes, and that's what makes us a little different from a bunch of these other shows, right? The competitors would basically just get the same group of 50 people and do their book tours and talk about the same crap over and over and over again. And we try and keep it interesting, keep it fresh, keep it in the realm of all possibilities. And I think that once you right, I mean, telling the future is telling the future, is it not? I think that's part of the shtick here. What we're doing tonight is that well, doesn't matter where it comes from. If it's data, right? If you get this huge data-driven database that is able to can take information from the present and predict the future, or whether you're channeling some entity like Apollo or whatever else was going on from yeah, I think that's it. So Sherry says AI is only software. Why so scared? Well, I think because they're doing what they're doing is they're collecting enough data to exactly tell the future on us, so that they're able to predict the future, very 1984 style, right? It's funny that they say they who, what's the term? Oh, I can't remember the term, and I don't have enough. I've got too many windows open to bust them out, and find it. But anyway, he who controls the past controls the present and the future as a result of that. So it seems like this is the same sort of thing, except it's digitally driven and not from a soothsayer of sorts. So that's what's going on. That's what we're doing tonight. Kind of discussing this, and the Oracle at Delphi, and telling the future. Do you think it's possible to tell the future? And then if so, we're kind of coming into a world, a new reckoning, basically, that we're kind of up against the future being predicted for us. And I think that's the danger here, is it's not just very much like Derek there said when he just called in. It's like once you kind of start pouring information into the zeitgeist, you are influencing, shaping the future based on even just pop culture, pop media, things like this, right? Mass media. So to me, right, I think the more you think about it, the more you start to go, okay. All right, Sherry, good night. Thanks for hanging out with us. So Magdalena says the plot of American Gods is the evil tech god wiping out the old gods who want to join Facebook. Is that for real? The plot of American Gods? Interesting. So anyway, Promethean Reckoning says if AI gets so much information it can recognize itself, it becomes sentient, and then AI can control all technology, and we can end up like the Terminator, right, with the famous or infamous Skynet, right, from the Terminator movies. Yeah, and I mean that's what I mean. So I think you can kind of make these parallels from the esoteric to the digital world, and there's a lot of similar things, and I think that's the fantastic layers of these conversations, because if you talk about them in a linear fashion, you're never going to get very far, because you run into roadblocks and other things. But if you kind of expand your mind and are ready to accept all possibilities, you never know what comes. Yeah, great call, Derek. Thank you so much. Let's see. Robert says we all know our futures because we agreed to it before we were born. The old what's that theory? The reincarnation theory, right? We agreed that that's what we were going to do. So okay. So let's see. Okay. All right. So here's what I'm gonna do. I have to kill my show that's running on Fringe. So we're gonna take a quick break, and we'll get right back to this in just a sec. So as you guys know, in the third hour, this has basically been the third hour the entire time. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll get back to it. We're still taking your phone calls if you want to be part of the show. There you go. Phone number's up, 702-957-1037. You can go to troubledminds.org and click the Discord link and join us that way. And let's do it. Let's play a little bit of music here, and let me go turn off. There's my alarm telling me to turn off the other show. So let's do it. So let's smash this button, and we will be right back. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Still taking your phone calls, talking about the Oracle at Delphi and the Oracle at Silicon Valley. Do you think there's a connection here, and is telling the future simply telling the future, or is it more complicated? 702-957-1037. Don't go anywhere. More Troubled Minds after the break. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. That's hilarious. So this software, you can set it up so it fades the music or it just cuts it off like that. And well, we just did a cutoff, and that's just less good, as you can tell. But anyway, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we're talking about oracles, discussing the future. And do you think it's possible the question of the evening is this: do you think it's possible to tell the future? And if so, right, time is, as they say, time is an abstract. Time exists all at the same time, meaning the past, the present, and the future are non-linear. They're locked in, and you can access all of those points given the appropriate knowledge of time, right? So if that's the case, all right, scientifically speaking, is it possible or even probable that the situation is the whether you're channeling some entity to give you the future, or you're actually retrieving the future from some sort of database, some sort of massive database, it's still the future nonetheless. And so the question tonight is: do you think it is it a stretch to say that they're the same thing, or if not, then do you think they're coming from the same thing? Yeah, I don't know, and that's what we're doing tonight. And again, right, this is not you're not coming here for some sort of religious experience or any of the rest of that. We're just getting together and talking about cool ideas. That's really what this is about. And as you know me, this is not the question show. This is the answer, or sorry, this is not the answer show. See what I did? This is the question show, and there we go. Let's see. All right, let's go to the chat. So again, we're still taking your phone calls if you want to be part of this conversation. You can reach us at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Trying to find my... There we go. Turn it down. There we go. Turn it down. All right, better. Okay, so you can also join the show by going to troubledminds.org, the official website, clicking the Discord link, and we'll put you on the show. Easy as that. Let's see. No phone calls now. And like I said, you guys know the drill. If you're interested in this conversation, like I said, I know we can't hit a home run every time, but if you're interested, we'll keep talking about this. If not, then we'll cut it a little bit short, because, like I said, talking to myself and having no interest is less good. So there you go, especially on the road. Okay, so here we go. Let's go to this real quick. So what I was describing is Joe said when he called in the Oracle at Delphi, right? It was said to have been an actual... they say she was stoned, and sort of the conversation we had with Derek when he called is that is it possible that with DMT and these sort of experiences where individuals are in these altered states of mind, are they tapping into that maybe non-linear time where they can see the future, or maybe talk to entities that are there? So here we go. So. This is from numerous classical authors. This is from biblicalarchaeology.org, and it reads this. This is about the Oracle at Delphi. Numerous classical authors report that natural phenomena played an essential part in one of their most sacred religious rituals, the Oracle at Delphi, which we've been talking about pretty much all night tonight. According to the geographer Strabo, which was 64 BC to 24 AD when he lived, for example, the seat of the oracle is a cavern, hollowed down in the depths, from which arises pneuma, Pneuma, or breath, vapor, gas, is the translation of that inspires a divine state of possession. All right, and so over the past 5 years, a team of researchers, a geologist, an archaeologist, a chemist, and a toxicologist has put that claim to the test, making it much more likely that we will actually understand what happened at Delphi. When ancient Greeks and Romans had to make decisions, they consulted the gods by drawing lots, casting dice, interpreting dreams, and analyzing such signs as sneezes, thunderbolts, and flying birds. But for matters of the utmost importance, they sought to hear the words of the gods in the mouths of the oracles. And so here we go. And then they note exactly like Derek was describing. They used young ladies as these oracles, and they put them in this chamber. And there was noxious gases coming up from underneath. And they've discovered this site, the actual Oracle at Delphi, and confirmed that there was they were able to sample the gases coming up, and then say that yes, they would be poisonous enough to keep people in some sort of a altered state. What's going on, guys? Reading the chat, hanging out, looking to hear from you. Do you think the future is the future and it doesn't matter? Meaning that if the algorithms can tap into it, or if the oracles can tap into it, it kind of the same thing. That's the question on my mind tonight. What do you guys think? What do you believe? Let's see. 702-957-1037. Just reading the chat. Lazy Guy X says, wait, if our goal is to become someone like the rich and powerful to advance to a higher plane after death, and when we do not achieve the set goal, we get sent back and are reborn to conquer our fears. I hope not. Let's see. What else do we got? Who else is out there? Just reading the chat, hanging out, guys. Looking to hear from you. What do you think about this stuff? Do you think fortune telling is a thing? Do you think being able to predict the future is possible? And if so, do you think that there's a difference between algorithmic prediction of the future or the old esoteric ways? Let's see. Joe says, first season of American Gods is excellent, but the books are also excellent. The premise is God of old, Odin, Anasazi, etc. need worship to survive, but new gods are worship, technology, internet, etc. Oh, so there's the fight. There becomes the fight. Ronald says, I believe that we all have a special purpose and not like Steve Martin's special purpose in the movie The Jerk. Yeah, agreed. We don't have to be jerks. That's for sure. What's up, Robert says, my laptop webcam are mouthing Michael's words inside Mike's little TV is creeping me out. Yeah, right. So if you're watching and you see me there, and my maybe I'm actually mouthing my words from my still image, or maybe not. Maybe you're hallucinating. Let me know if it gets worse, Robert. We'll call 911 for you. Yeah. So what do you guys think? Like I said, we can continue with more of this because there's a ton more to get into. But love to hear from you. 702-957-1037. So these altered states of consciousness that the Oracle had at Delphi, right? They were basically, who knows? Like we said, with DMT, that experience, with ayahuasca, with who knows, the peyote shamanic journey. What's actually happening here? And I think that's the question. So yeah, is it from the future, from the god Apollo, or is channeling some entity different than that in terms of, well, many things, I guess, many things. What's up, Dal? Well, what's up? I'm gonna call you Dal. Cross my palm with silver, and I will tell all. Okay, all right, that's cool. I'm down with that. All right, so there you go. So there's more. We're gonna get into more of this, but that's what's on my mind tonight. Kind of telling the future through oracles of old, and also oracles of algorithmic origin. So here we go. Let's see, the Oracle at Delphi. Like we said, people came from all over Greece and beyond to have their question answered about the future. Now, notably, like Derek actually brought up in his call, is that the brave Leonidas, right? Everybody remembers him from the last stand of the 300, the pass at Thermopylae against the Persian onslaught of 5 million or more soldiers, as has been described, right? The brave 300 held the hot gates at Thermopylae. Well, it turns out that he actually had an encounter with the Oracle at Delphi himself. And he was, we can get into that as we go, but like I said, there's some pretty interesting things through history regarding this Oracle, this super famous Oracle, telling the future. And like I said, whether do you believe that this is even possible, telling the future, or is this just a bunch of horse crap? Which is fine by me. It's all good. We take all as long as you don't be an asshole, you're entitled to whatever you want here on this show. No reason to stomp in here and tell everybody they're wrong all the time. That's the one thing that irks me, right? Is let's not get so involved in ourselves that we forget there's other people in the same room with us, right? Meaning the same chat room. But here we go. This is from paranormalscholar.com, and it goes a little something like this. I'm going to link it in the chat, and we'll keep on trucking, keep on talking about this. My chats, here they are. All right, there we go. All right, so this is interesting. So it reads this. Did the Oracle of Delphi predict the fate of ancient Greece? And this, again, if you guys have seen that movie 300, it was depicted in there with these young girls in their altered states, and etc. so on. So here we go. In 480 BC, one of the largest invasion forces in history was assembled by the Persian king Xerxes I to conquer Greece. The contemporary historian Herodotus put the number of the invading force at around 5.2 million men. If this is true, then what Greece faced was not so much a war, but an apocalypse. Knowing that a great force was heading their way, the Greek city-states all sought aid from their gods. The oracle at Delphi was regarded as an intermediary of divine wills, and was as such the most renowned prophet of the time. It was to her that the city-states turned. After consulting her, it would be Athens and Sparta, the two most powerful cities, that would set the agenda for the Greek confederation that was forming to defend against the Persians. The oracle at Delphi was the high priestess at the temple of Apollo, a woman who was, without doubt, the most powerful woman of the classical world. Her prophecies, it was believed, were inspired by being possessed by the spirit of the god Apollo. To those who approached her, she would bestow counsel, influenced by her visions of a future dictated by the gods. When the Spartans approached the oracle, they were told the following. And this is the actual, as written down by Herodotus, the actual fortune that came from the oracle to the Spartans. And here it goes. Quote, "Either your famed great town must be sacked by Perseus's sons," that would be the Persians, of course, "or, if that be not, the whole land of Lacedaemon," which would be Sparta, "shall mourn the death of a king of the house of Heracles. For not the strength of lions or of bulls should hold him. Strength against strength, for he has the power of Zeus, and will not be checked until one of these two he has consumed." Meaning that either a king of Sparta must die, or Sparta will burn. And so, notably, of course, it sets into motion a chain of events that was one of the most talked about military, what would you say, small stand against a huge force. So yeah. Anyway, what do you guys think? Do you think this is all possible? Or once again, like whatevs, Mike. I'm okay with all that stuff. Like I said, if you want to be nasty to me, you guys know the drill. You're welcome to. I won't put up with it for too long. But if you want to be nasty to other people in the chat, I don't like that. So just FYI. FYI, I see you out there. Okay, so here we go. We're going to go to, I'm not sure who this is calling in, but let's take this phone call. Welcome to Troubled Minds. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
It's Mike J. Michael. It's in Virginia.
What's up, MJ? How you doing, my friend?
Hey, good. Yes, it's possible to predict the future. I've done it. And one question I have for that for myself is, when you do that, are you just reading a written future, or is it random?
Well, I think that's the question here. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm thinking about it. So I think that is the question, though. So okay, so you've done it. So that means that you've also had maybe predictions that maybe didn't come to pass. Is that right?
No. Because I used to do readings, clairvoyant. So when you do this, there's a certain state of innocence. Whoa, no. One of my cats tried to jump on my lap. And he uses his claws. It's like, no. And there's a certain state of innocence you have to keep when you do readings. And it's more childlike innocence. And you have to practice staying in that when you do a reading. That way you get the purest of information, okay? But you're going to use your adult senses to filter out what's, kind of on the mark, what's kind of wavering to the left or right type of thing. And you learn that over a period of time. As far as predicting the future, absolutely, Delphine probably did, okay, as to how it was going to go. Part of it is knowing who you're reading, because she's around these people, so she kind of knows them. At the same time, there's a timeline that can be rearranged, just like everybody said Trump is going to lose, he won. A timeline was rearranged at that point in time. Same thing with this. She's doing a reading, and ultimately you have to look out far enough, who's going to win this? How's it going to go? This guy is going to win. There's a lot of variables in between of the reading or what you see, but what's the ultimate outcome? So I would say 100% yes, I don't think it was political. I think it was she was able to read that, and that's what she saw. Because, like I said, I've done this, and I've given people readings to where, and it's simple little things. It's not nothing major in their lives, but something simple would come through, hand out the information, and I got confirmation on it. They'd call me back and say, I met so-and-so, now what? And I was like, well, that's the information I got. I didn't get any more. That's up to you to get it. Maybe they needed the information just for confirmation that getting a reading is real. You don't know how the information is going to be shared. And it also affects your life because I got confirmation on it. So it's always more than just about the one person. It's about several people involved or people around you. I don't know where I'm going now. Oh, great. So, I can hear you. You can hear me simultaneously.
Yeah, we're good. So, okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, so the question I have then is this: so where do you think that information is coming from? Is it like we described, maybe the Akashic record of sorts? Or are you able to tap into that, maybe time as that abstract notion of the past, present, and future exists in one space? Where do you think this information does come from if you're doing some sort of a futuristic reading or prophecy?
Well,
let's say?
I think it comes from the person that you're reading or the situation that you're reading. That situation holds the information. You don't pop up away from the situation and go get the answer and come back down. It's like the Ouija board. I use my Ouija board on a regular basis, okay? And there's nothing, the Ouija board is just a piece of wood. It's just a doorway or a window in between spirit and you. So, and that's all it is. That's all it ever can be. You can't use it for anything else. You're literally contacting someone, but the energy is being grounded in the Ouija board so you can both talk to one another. That's what that's for. Okay? The Ouija board should be handled on an adult way, not a child way, because you're dealing on an adult level at that point. Okay? As far as where the information comes, like I said before, I think it comes through your situation, your life. The information comes through you. I get it and just repeat it back to you. Something happened on my Ouija board periodically, and I'll have this thought in my head or, rearrange the situation in my head, or how's it really going to work out? Because like I told you before, I'm in the process of changing a timeline, and I've done two things to help perpetuate the change. I don't know if it's going to, with the outcome of what's supposed to happen, is going to be in a lesser sense, or it's going to be the same. But on my end, things are protected. There'll still be some sort of property damage, okay? Knowing this, that's changing a timeline. So if I tell you something, predict it to you, it may be something that you can change a timeline on, or you can't stop it. But either way, it's supposed to happen on some level. So, but the information I'm receiving, I go in through you and up to your information, or let's say your connection with the Akashic records. You can't separate and go up there and get it and bring it back to that person. I have to use you as a vehicle or a conduit.
Okay, so it's basically the combination of the people that are accessing it separately, because it is the future. Because that means the future is always in motion. But so what needs to happen in a catastrophic sense to change something? Like, just for example, you brought up the election, right? Everybody was like, no, Trump's going to lose, but then he won. So what needs to happen for something like that to change within the timeline?
Something not great. Yeah.
Okay, like somebody meddling. Like, is it like ritual type stuff, or do you think it's like divine type stuff?
No, it wouldn't be either one. It would be half. Let's say Trump won, and I'm not bragging, but I knew he was going to win. It was. I kept looking at the energies, like it's real clear. He's coming through clear. He's going to win, and he did. And the other side didn't like it. If it were a ritual, they should have controlled it long before he ever got there. Apparently, they can't do that. It didn't work that way, because ultimately that was what's supposed to have happened. That had to happen. It was just destined to happen. That's how it was supposed to go. It wasn't a fluke. He was supposed to get in, but the will of the people brought that through, okay, as far as what they wanted. And for the first time, the will of the people in general triumphed. They got what they wanted. he's in. And now we're on the negative side of it. But the information I have to attach to you, get into your energy in order to get that information, because it's not, how am I going to put this? The only word I can think of is legal. It's not legal for me spiritually to go outside of you and busybody get the information, find out about you, and then come back and do it. That's a negative way of using psychic energy.
Like
because you did not give me that permission.
Dark magic is what it would be called.
Right? I wouldn't call it dark magic, but I would just call it, I'm not comfortable with, because I had somebody do that to me one time, and I did not like it. And they went outside of me to get that information, or they're accessing me without my permission. And so I don't find that to be dark magic, but it's on the edge, because you're starting to do things that are manipulative in that sense, okay? But that's the way it always has been with me, is it's like right now, all my cats, you can access animal energy, tree energy, any energy, but you have to ask for permission to use that energy or to communicate to that energy, because that energy may not want to talk to you. It may not have a reason to. You're the one asking the questions, oh, sure, and they're very compliant, like, okay, yeah, I'll talk. May not have an answer, but you came to me, so what do you want? And that's basically the attitude most of the time. Periodically, I'm on my board, and I'll have a couple of dead people come to me I've talked to before, and they come in to say hi. Oh, here's one for you. Oh, my God. When I first started going to the bars, and I was going to D.C., I was living out in Southern Virginia, going to D.C., having a great time, and I went to this one bar, and I met this guy. I knew him from high school. And I was in there, and he was in there, and I went, oh, my God, hey, what, shook his hand. It's like I hadn't seen him in a long time. As soon as I shook his hand, I dummied up, and what I saw was a row house with a black door. There was a stick man walking up to the black door. There was another stick man inside with a stick in his hand, and the stick man with the stick in his hand was stabbing the other stick man, killing it, right? I couldn't get that out of my mouth, so a week later, finally found out the guy I shook the hands with, he was killed that night, and someone stabbed him to death. I found out a week later about it. I'm on my board about 4 nights ago. He came to the board, spelled out his name, and I couldn't, I'm like, I just don't believe this. And I just asked him, because that's like, I know you. The memory came flashing back, and I said, how did you die? And I stabbed to death. And I said, what the name of the bar, what bar were you in? Spell out the name of the bar. And that's over, 66? So that was when 22. So that's over 40-some years. 50 years? How many is that? 40 years? That's over 40 years. Finally, he comes in on my board. So how do you explain that one? And he stuck around for a little bit. Now he's gone. He wanted to come in and say hi. I don't know how to, is that one point?
Yeah, I don't know. So how did he find you? So you I think that's the weird part about this is he wanted to tell you what? Just hi, just pop in and pop out, and that was it.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, oh my God, I apologized to him. I said I wish I could have said something to you, and he said that's okay. It was time for that. I was like, oh, and I wasn't ready to say that. And I never felt bad about, at that moment when it happened, I felt so bad. A week later when I heard it, I was like, my God, why didn't I open my mouth? I couldn't get it out. And, I felt bad for a little bit, and I kind of forgot about it. And he popped in. I was like, oh, I don't believe this is happening. Now, here's another thing. Are the spirits out there, demons, what do you want to call them? I don't call them any of that, but is somebody messing with me? But that's over a 40-year period of a memory that I haven't had since I was 22. So where did that come from? I have to assume at this point that it was him. I could see him visually, so I'm seeing him, so I'm talking to him. All this is going on. And that was pretty much it. And I thought, it's just like a little booster shot, like, whoa, because I'm getting, the board gets kind of boring. It's same old thing come in, not much to talk about. It isn't. Unless I get a hold of they call themselves a demon, then I have fun with that. But demons are interesting to talk to. they're not exactly what you think they are. They're not a bunch of being evil kind of thing. They actually consider themselves to be part of the balance between good and evil. There has to be balance. So somebody's got to be bad, somebody's got to be good, this type of thing. But yeah, I would just remember that. I was like floored by it happening.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I don't know. I think that so it is possible. You can tell the future. You're not exactly sure where that information comes from. It is the Akashic record of some sort.
I don't know. See, at one point I questioned that myself. It's like, is it already pre-written, and I'm just picking up on it? Is that all it is? Is it the Akashic records, and does everybody sort of have their little thing that happens? And are you going out? No. Okay. Not these cats.
I love the cats.
It's like, yeah, they're just, well, there's another thing that happened, and I told the universe, I cannot do this. Girls got to I had 5 females in the house, and they all needed to get fixed. And they're all, the mother's older, the 4 girls are 2 years old. They're coming in heat, it's like, and female cats get messy when they come in heat. And I just can't do it. So a little miracle happened for me, and found an organization that was voluntary or donation thing, and this lady does it. So I got all 5 of them fixed for free within 2 weeks, 2 different vets.
Nice. Glad
I was just like, and it was a godsend. That was a blessing, because it's like, thank you. Because they can go in and outside now. They're not going to get pregnant. They're 2 years old. They're adults. They're savvy with the outside and everything. And they come in to eat, and everybody's happy. We're all running around like, yeah, I got my house back. But anyways, so I don't know. I don't know if it's Akashic Records. I totally can't say that, because timelines can be changed. Little things get switched around. Things can happen in a lesser sense. You can predict something, and it happens. But it's in a greater or lesser sense, depending on how the person pays attention to it.
Okay.
So that's the only thing I can figure out. I've never really questioned that part. It's like you just kind of do it and, just follow it through.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Great stuff, my friend. Anything else while we got you on the phone here?
God, I got stories to go all night long, but no.
Okay. Well, we'll save them for another day. MJ, you're the best. Thank you so much for calling. Always great stuff.
All right. Thank you.
Appreciate it, my man. Have a great night. That's MJ from Virginia, and this is why we do this live, right? Because you get people with experience in these things. I don't have experience in any of these things, but I'm open to the ideas. And so, if anybody has maybe some experience doing this type of thing, like with Ouija boards or whatnot, contacting entities. Again, the question for tonight is: do you believe you can actually tell the future? Is it a possible thing? And I think that's the question tonight, as we kind of consider this, and then to further the conversation. If you think that's boring, well, how about is there a connection between? That's why I asked MJ that question. Is there a connection between maybe the Akashic record and maybe a database that's predicting the future? Is that, again, right? If time is that thing that exists, past, present, and future in the same space, then why wouldn't it be kind of coming from the same spot? And I think that's when you get some meddling possibilities, right? Meaning, of course, like you said, demons or whatnot. I don't know. The archons, whatever they are, I have no idea. The evil algo AI, you tell me. Robert on Rockfin says this: you are the boss of the universe, folks. If you want the universe to restore peace, love, and sanity to this world, just command the universe to do that. If you do, the universe will obey. The world will stay as it is only for those who have not ordered the universe to make the alteration. And I like it. I like this sentiment. I think that's kind of what we're here doing, trying to get together and prove that there's a reality out there that doesn't have to include all the great, I say great in a bad way, or the mess of the media, as they tell us, right? Yeah, good stuff, MJ. Great call. And that's what I'm saying, right? That's why we do this. That's why we've always done this live, right? You get enough good people together, kind of pointing in the same direction with open minds, and you can come up with a lot of amazing stuff. And that's what's going on. Let's see. What's up? James says, you and I should go somewhere reportedly haunted someday at Troubled Minds, Waverly Hills Sanatorium, or the Myrtles Plantation, but somewhere. Sure. Yeah, I'm open to that. Especially now that we found out I can actually do a show on the road. Well, I think it's happening, so I guess we are. There you go. If you guys want to be part of the show, the question tonight is, do you think it's possible to tell the future? And, of course, if so, where's that information coming from? Is it being channeled from Apollo or some trickster spirit? And then again, to layer on another level to that, is this the collecting the future the same as like from an algorithmic database? The same sort of thing. I think that's the question. Jay's like, there's this temple in New York. There you go. There you go. All right, we're looking to hear from you guys. If, like I said, if you guys are interested and want to keep talking about this, we'll keep going. If not, we'll cut it a little bit short because I am on the road and the quality of the show is a little bit less than normal because, well, one screen, one laptop, and a bad attitude. So 702-957-1037. You can jump in the Discord and be part of the show that way. And, yeah, looking to hear from you. Let's see, check everything. What else? I had a little bit more to get into. There's more here. There's actually a lot more. Okay, so let's go to this then. This is, let's see. We had, yep, we did the Oracle Corporation. We did Leonidas. How about this? Here's another one. Let's go with this. This is from jtrue.com, and this is the technology of demons, right? So I'm putting this up in the chat, and you guys can check it out. As always, you guys know all these links are already on YouTube right now, so you can find all these links there. But I'm dropping them here in the chat so you can see what's going on if you would like to follow along. Because, well, you know, some people like to follow along. And we all do things just a little bit differently. So there we go. All right. So there it is. And there's the article I'm looking at. So the case for demons. And what they're talking about here is technology. So let's read just a little bit of this. Okay. Think of the demon as an application on your phone. Demons are installed. Demons can run in the background. Demons are binary leeches summoned by our fingertips in shiny black mirrors. This technology is accessible through ritual, magic, and ceremony. Every day, Hollywood hacks our archetypal memory. The corporate elite wield stolen ancient sigils charged with the black magic of envy and addiction. These sigils are used to belong to us. These sigils. We used to decide what they meant. Instead, demons enchant us with their crafted story, picture, and sound. These days, people believe demons before they believe each other. Terrorism, climate catastrophes, and Iran 6 months away from a nuclear bomb are all forms of demonic possession, this article says. This is jtrue.com. And killing JFK was a demonic voodoo trance, guy claimed. And sort of like we talked about in the past here, digital demons of a sort, right? And back to that whole later, Dal, have a good night. Back to that whole is it possible that this is the case, that instead of maybe reaching out and finding Apollo, you're finding some other sort of trickster spirit? Yeah, that's the weirdness. Who else is blazing a nice fat joint, says Chris. What's up, buddy? I hope you know, people that are in the jurisdictions where it's legal are all firing up a fat one. But okay, there we go. What's going on, guys? Looking to hear from you. Like I said, we'll wind this down and finish a little bit early if you guys aren't interested. Like I said, it's hard to hit home run every time, but I think these conversations are pretty good, and otherwise I wouldn't be talking about it. So if you want to be part of the show, one more time, 702-957-1037. You could join the Discord at troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link and get your ass in here. By the way, that conversation goes on 24 hours a day. And even sometimes after the show, it goes and we get some voice chat in there and go late into the night. So it is a voice client and a chat client. So if you're shy and don't like to talk, you can also type. And that's it. There we go. What's up, James says, that's weird. Audio cut out for a minute, but then it came back. Yeah, well, what can you do? That's what I said. Laptop on the road. Laptop and a bad attitude. But yeah, so I don't know. I think when you boil it down to what is actually happening here, where this information is coming from, I don't know. I do not know, because there's a lot to this. And here's one more. Let's wrap up with this. This is from like I said, we got time for you guys if you want to be part of the show. You know the phone number, troubledminds.org. Phone number's there. The Discord link is there. Let's put this right here. Let's link this, and this is a Reddit thread. where they're discussing these algorithms, like these Google algorithms, how they're starting. Yeah, Discord works. We had James on Discord, and we had Daryl was on Discord, so everything works today. We got it fixed up last night. So okay, so then that's the question here, right? Now this is from Reddit, and let me read you just a little bit of this, because this is kind of where we're headed. The Google algorithm is beginning to scare me. And so, let's see, it's been giving me very strange recommendations, this person says, on No Sleep. Usually it's right on the money, and sometimes predicts things I want before I even know, before I have even mentioned them out loud, and I wonder how it knows. Is it reading my mind, or does it just know me better than I know myself? For instance, recently I was thinking about replacing my laptop. The old one was starting to malfunction and was slowing down to the point of being irritating. Surely enough, ads for laptops started appearing at the side of my browser window when I visited various websites. Even though I hadn't mentioned the problem to anyone and hadn't even said out loud that the old laptop was bothering me. Again and again, ads began to show up that were catered to my very exact needs, getting more and more creepily specific. A hole ripped suddenly in my underwear, and an ad for underwear popped up on my Google phone. I broke a coffee mug, and ads for coffee mugs started to show up. I didn't even have to think about stuff after a while. It popped up on my feed before I even knew I wanted it. Now, okay, now this may be a little out there. This may be somebody trying to tell us a spooky story. But this is the type of thing that's happening, right? Is this actually being whatever it's being? I don't know. What's up? Yeah. What's up, Chris? Yeah, out on the road. We're out here on the road and in California, and got some things to take care of. So that's what we're doing, and we're making it happen. Like I said, don't discount a laptop and a bad attitude. Sometimes you can get a lot of good things done. So that's what's going on. So if you guys are want to be part of the show and have a discussion here with this, you tell me, and we'll put you on the show. 702-957-1037, troubledminds.org. Let's go to like we got a couple. We got Jay, we got Rohan. Let's save the outro for Jay, and I'll get back to you guys in chat in just a sec. Let's do it. Let's go to Rohan first, and then we'll do the outro with Jay. Rohan, the mighty Rohan. Welcome to the show. Are you there? What's up? Daryl says, if it is in your broken computer, so it's telling you to replace it. Yeah, it could be. What's going on, guys? What's going on? Rohan?
Oh, sorry. I forgot to mute myself again.
You're good, man.
Hi, Mike.
Hey, man. I do it to myself all the time. Welcome to the show. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Enjoying the show. Yeah, it's missed the very beginning of it, Mike. It's
That's okay.
Better.
Hey,
yeah, yes.
Nobody's perfect.
Yeah, man.
Nobody's perfect. What do you think? Hell in the future?
Well,
think there's something to
this?
Man.
Yeah, man. But I think, like, when you go back to think about like shamans and stuff, they figure stuff out. Don't know. We think of it as maybe they looked at the weather patterns and the sense stuff and that, but they know stuff. We've been able to do this through history, and I think I always hark on about it, but I always hark back to that interdimensional aspect. I think that just explains everything, And I think once we come to the thing with technology and computing and AI and doing like wireless stuff, I think once we start doing that, electromagnetism is like we can only really detect a sliver of the whole spectrum, right? So once we start doing that, I think it's really easy to manipulate by like other entities. So I think these oracles are channeling stuff. I think some of them is probably as true. It's probably as being some like ultra terrestrials, or in religious terms, maybe you could think of higher beings. I think those people could easily. I think they do interact with us anyway. So like when we get thoughts pushed into our heads, sometimes it seems, doesn't it? And sometimes we get these chance happenings, And I just wonder if it's like, say, good entities, bad entities, when they're manipulators. And I think that interesting point with the algorithms, and they've got their own language, and the creators of these AIs don't necessarily know what they're doing or saying. And who's to say they haven't been astral hacked by somebody that gets it? Now you made it Wi-Fi, it's easier for them to just plug in and just mess around with the algorithms and that. Probably using it for coding, Mike.
Yeah, well, and that's the spooky part, right? Is if this digital stuff is coming from somewhere that's is about to acquire its own mind, like Derek has said before too. I think he was saying this last night in the after show discussion that that maybe the whole point is that the algorithmic nature is trying to convince us to create machines to put these digital demons into, which is the next step, right, of where we're headed. So telling the future, right, meaning that who knows, like I said, so basically what I mean by all that is that if you're channeling, let's say you think it's Apollo, but it's the Archons, right, or it's a trickster spirit, or it's something to that effect, right? Again, now we're talking about time as a scientific explanation of it. It all exists in one space. Then the information is coming from the same place, right? Meaning that time all exists in the same space. And that's my whole argument tonight, is that if you're telling the future, you're getting it from somewhere. And I don't think it's Apollo. I think there's something maybe more nefarious at foot here. That's a foot, not at foot, a foot. But yeah, you get my meaning, right?
I get your meaning. I think that's sort of what I was trying to get to as well. It's that this has got to be the most wide open to abuse technology we've ever dealt with. Do you know what I'm saying? Because we don't really understand it, and it's, you know, it is a bit sketchy.
Just a bit sketchy. I'm chewing. You got me chewing.
I know it's not. Yeah, I mean, it's like I say, it's this like, I know I always go back to this with like that CERN stuff and that. I mean, it's this astral projection stuff, and you know, Kennedy having like astral bodyguards and stuff. I mean, and I think you talked about this a few shows back. It's like if we're working on those levels and working, do you know what I'm saying? It all has to be the future. All has to be about learning the psi stuff, getting psi skills, I think, and starting getting on that thing. And I think that was a good point that somebody's made with the reality. Like the reality that if you focus on the negative and going loopy and stuff, you kind of inviting that into your life, aren't you? But like you said, there's another discussion here where you're trying to have a genuine discussion to genuinely find answers for, you know, reasons. We've probably all got passionate desire to find the truth of something, or, you know, find out who we are or where we fit into things. Do you know what I'm saying? And I think, like you say, where focus goes, energy flows. I think that's the brilliant thing about these conversations as well, Mike. These kind of shows is, you know, if consciousness is king and there is no reality, as that recent study has shown, maybe there is no reality and it's all about what we think, then, you know, we can shape reality. I suppose then, you know, we are all Neo. Do you know what I'm saying? It gets to that stuff, doesn't it? So maybe that's what this Aquarius and Golden Age becomes about. Things start collapsing in like waveforms, collapse in on themselves, and it just becomes about, you know, whatever reality you think it's going to be. You know, does that make sense?
Yeah, so like the Matrix, so they say there is no spoon, right? And so they bend the spoon. Mm-hmm. The secret is knowing there is no spoon. So there is no Apollo. You are Apollo. I'm Apollo. Everybody's Apollo.
Yeah. Yeah, in some way. And like, say, Apollo's, I mean, I think some of this information, somebody else who's giving it to you has probably been through it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, it's all happening in one spot in time space, but we're in space time and we haven't reached that point yet. We've still got linear causality, haven't we? Right. So we haven't reached those bits yet. But once you get outside of 3 dimensions, then linear causality don't count for nothing, does it? Do you know what I'm saying? So anything outside of 3 dimensions has definitely got an advantage on us in terms of time. I think I've said this before, because once you're outside of 3 dimensions, looking what happens, you know, if are the Sox going to win in 2 weeks' time in the game? Well, yeah. If you're outside of 3 dimensions, it's just like looking out the window to see if it's sunshine in. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, and that's again back to some of the basic things, like, you know, meditation, manifesting realities, things like this, right? And you know, Wim Hof, you know, things like that. Like it's weird how a lot of this kind of comes back on itself, and it seems like it could be a very basic thing to change. Like Robert said, you ask the universe to change, and the universe will change for you, right? Interesting.
Mm-hmm. I think, and wouldn't that sort of make sense as well? You know, why make it all really difficult for us? Maybe we've overcomplicated it on purpose as like a control mechanism. Maybe it is just really simple, and you know, everything else is kind of simple and follows simple sort of rules, isn't it? And just knowing the principles. And it seems to be that's what all the masters and teachers and all through history seem to say. It's just simple things, isn't it? So that's a good point, Mike.
Yeah, definitely. Ronald wants, he says, get Rohan to say ground control to Major Tom. Say that, Rohan. Dance, Rohan. Dance.
Ground control to Major Tom. How about that?
There it is. I'm sure that's acceptable. Yeah. So I think the weird part of this is if you can tell the future, is it science? Is it woo? Is it somewhere in between? Right. That's I think that's the crux of this conversation. And do the algorithms have anything to do with it, or are we just flirting with danger by bringing that up? You know what I mean?
Yeah. But maybe you can affect them. Maybe now we've come to this possibility, Mike. Maybe we can all make the algorithms work in your favor by just deciding. You should try it. A Maharishi experiment, just in troubled minds.
Yeah. Oh, actually, the experiment we did the other night, Jack Rohan, snake eyes in Vegas. So just to let you know. Remember we tried that?
I forgot about it. Maybe it's because I didn't show. Oh no, sorry, Mike.
It's all good. Hey man, we got to try harder next time, I guess. But yeah, so I don't know. I think that's a worthy of a discussion here, which is why we do it, right? Remember, guys, this is not the answer show. This is the question show. We get together and discuss whether the stuff is real. If you don't believe it, that's cool. Trouble Minds is about that too. So it's okay. Like, it's okay to just be you and believe the things you believe. So we got Jay to get to in a sec. Anything else while we got you on, Rohan?
Oh no, I just wanted to chip in there, Mike. No. That's cool. Yeah, I'd like to see what Jay's got to say anyway. But nice one. Great to speak to you, man. Enjoy
You too.
the show.
You as well. Thank you. Thanks for calling in. Great stuff as always, man. Matt says in the chat, he says, Rohan did it again. Mind blown. There it is.
Cheers.
I'll leave you right there, man, if you want to listen to it right where you're at. And let's go to Jay. Go to Jay in New York. Jay in New York. Can I do it? There we go. Look at that. See? Chunky laptop not wanting to work. Jay, welcome to the show. How you doing, my friend?
Great. That's cool. I mean, the whole thought of it, and then what you were saying about that conversation we had in I can't remember what it's called today. When Bailey was trying to explain to us about the AI and just looking at it in all ways. And then MJ that called up and was talking about playing with his Ouija board, and it talked about when you were saying you're not going to point the bone at yourself. And I was just wondering if maybe we're entering the data that we want into the algorithm or into the whatever, acoustic records. And that's changing the future. We're making it what we want to be.
Yeah, and I think that's a good way to put it. Is that so we are feeding the algorithm, but the algorithm itself is also, for let's say metaphorically, allegorically, is the universe, right? And with that intention, if you're feeding it, like you said, with the data you want, like they say, shit in, shit out, right? Like crappy data in, you're going to get a poor result. But maybe, it's a metaphor for life, is it not? I mean, you do the right things, you swing the hammer and do the work, and good things come to you, right? I think that's a good way to put it.
I don't know. These discussions are awesome. It's just let your mind go in a bunch of different ways. The thing that was originally coming up, I missed the beginning. I'm sorry, I dozed off with the kids when they went snoozing.
You're loud,
man. The thing in ancient Greece there, the article that it was all about, they're going in there and they said it had a toxic, or not toxic, what was it? The
noxious
odor,
gas. Noxious gas.
A noxious gas.
Yep.
I couldn't think of the words. Maybe they were like a DMT, or, maybe they had a bale of marijuana down there in the bottom for light, or, that's what they were making their torches out of, whatever it was. And they were going down there and they were just making observations of what they seen. Like, you see the little kid running off by himself headed towards the stairs. Well, you're going to start walking over that way because you know that it's a little kid on stairs. You should be there to help them out. Did you know they were going to fall down the stairs? Probably not. Did it make a good idea to go and do it? Probably yes. I just, I think all of us have that in us where we can kind of see what's going on around us. It depends on how observant we are about it or not. You can see the near future. The thing with the military that you were saying about, the Mad Men. Oh, no, it was Night Stalker that put it in the chat. He put a thing where the Pentagon was running a program to see if they could see a couple days in the future, and they were, trying to start to use it and stuff like that. And I was like, that's kind of crazy. But if you look at it, not to bring up any current events, but you start looking at what you're doing, you're going to know what's going to start to happen. We've got enough experience with, all the way back to the 300 there, well, they probably knew what was going to happen coming. Either you're going to stand up and fight or you're going to lose, So I think that, it might be something that we bring upon ourselves, coming at us.
Back to the self-fulfilling prophecies in the Oedipus complex.
Don't point the bone. Well, don't point the bone. That was one of the things that, was with Axel. You don't want that hint of an idea in your mind, because however little it might be, might head you down the road,
Yeah, might catch up to you, right?
Right. I hope that's not, because I let Axel do it whenever, Oh, I heard the card shuffle on Axel. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Axel. Pull me a card. Pull me a card.
But I really think that, it might be the same. The past, present, and the future. It's all happened before,
Yeah.
Are we at ancient Greece now when they were about to fall? Look at the world events and stuff. Does it really need to be entered into an algorithm, or do we just need to read a little history? I don't know.
You tell me.
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So do you think, though, do you believe that it is possible to tell the future in any capacity?
Sure, it's got to be. Nostradamus, I don't know how much he was wrong, but there were ones that he hit it on. There was that lady, too. That wasn't too often long ago, 1800s or something like that. She wrote down a bunch of stuff that came true. The Simpsons.
Yep, that was a good one. Yep.
They were writing down stuff that came true. Some of it's just too true. Trump on the staircase and just dumb stuff like that, But I don't know. I think it's there. I think that what it is we're all different people, and everybody has different talents and thoughts and beliefs and everything else like that. I can't write it out that there's not people out there that can't see into the near future or even the far future or the past for that matter. It's just, what are you into? If you're sitting around huffing DMT all day long, probably you could see Jesus if you wanted to.
I'm sure some people have.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. So I don't know. And I think oddly enough, right, that we you dig hard enough, and it doesn't even have to be that hard, really. You just kind of have be able to make connections with some of these things. And esoteric, telling the future, it seems to maybe be the exact same thing as algorithmic telling the future. It's just deriving the information from a different method, and that's that. I don't know. That's what we're here talking about. Pretty crazy stuff. How it can kind of combine, and again, scientifically, if time does exist in the same space, like I keep saying, the past, present, future, then it does come from the same place. It's just accessing it different ways. Yeah, and I don't know, man. I don't know. It's a little bit creepy to think about. I see Rohan unmuted there. You got something to kick in there, Mr. Rohan?
Yeah. I was just I thought that thing about the algorithms. I was going to comment on it earlier. Somebody mentioned this thing about how you can predict the future if you've got enough data. I think that's the key thing. I think you're predicting probable futures, and like say, if you've got enough information, you can do it. And it's exemplified in a particular episode of the TV show The Fringe, where there's someone that's he's just so good at the calculations. They think he can see the future, but he's just so good at calculating what's going to happen. He kind of knows what's going to happen. He sets up these little domino effects where we leave a pencil on a trash can or something, and then somebody will knock it over, and later on a cat or a pigeon or something will come past and knock it into the street, and then someone falls. You know what I mean? Sets up a chain of events. And it's kind of like knocking people off by setting up these chain of events. And it's just because he's so good with the math at calculating. So I think you're looking at probable futures. But like I say, if you've got enough data, and then I think with the algorithms and the AI, don't need to, they can really use the data without needing to predict the future. They can just predict our reactions to things. And I think that's that problem reaction solution thing. I think that's why they want the AI. You know,
yeah.
No one wants to sit and do the math. That's why we have the AI. People don't want to sit down and do the math. Gotten lazy.
Who does? Who does? Yeah.
Well, I do the math in my head all the time, but that's, I'm a carpenter. You have to do it in your head.
There you go. I always say Jesus was a carpenter. You're in good company, man. You're in good company.
I hope so.
Yeah.
He's protected me more than a couple of times on the way off the side of a building.
There you go. There you go. Okay, so let's wrap this sucker up. Like I said, I'm on the road, so I don't want to be too long here with people trying to go to bed or whatnot soon. So let's do the J-Tro. What do you think, my friend? Play some play some music here. How about this? Yeah. All right. There you go, sir.
All right. Discussions are always better than arguments, because an argument is an argument is to find out who is right. A discussion is to find out what is right. I don't know where that one came from.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. I like the little ones that just pop up, short and sweet.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Definitely good stuff. So yeah, fantastic. Like I said, we're on the road here, Troubled Minds Road Style, broadcasting live from California. And like I said, I apologize for the actual lesser quality, but I think we got it close enough. So thanks again for hanging out with us, guys. Thanks for being here. Thanks for all the great calls. You know who you are. Thanks for caring. Thanks for being a concerned citizen. And thanks for having an open mind and not being shitty to each other. It's an important thing. So let's wrap this up. Anything else, Rohan or Jay?
I'm expecting how today.
The show is going great, considering on the road and everything. It's awesome, and I'm ready to howl too.
Okay.
I want to keep the neighbors up.
4 minutes. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Let it rip.
Today. I got a big one.
Let it rip.
Oh, is it? Okay. Oh.
There you go. All right, guys. This is Rohan and Jay. With us, I'm Michael Strange. This is Troubled Minds. And we'll be back tomorrow, 7 p.m. Pacific, and we'll be doing the same thing. We'll be talking about all kinds of crazy stuff and keeping an open mind and trying not to be shitty to each other. And as we finish, you know how it goes. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our Troubled Minds to yours, have a great night. Thank you, Dark Devious, there for the tip. I see that over on Rockfin. Appreciate it, guys. Thank you, Vicky. Thank you, everybody. Ronald over there. Robert. Appreciate it. We'll see you guys tomorrow night.